Chapter 481, Urgent Dispatch. Chapter 481, Urgent Dispatch. Give me that. The emperor read the jade himself before frowning. This is too fast. So many men in just a few days? There's no way Luo clan's name is enough to pull it off. A taunting smile crossed Zhuge Chongfeng's face. Your Majesty, it seems you forget about Zhuge Fan's ingenious tricks during the last war. Welcoming the other house's experts. With their deep roots, even when homeless, their names would live on in their lands. They just had to show themselves and their vassals would flock over in droves. They must think the war is over and are now grasping the winning leg. I dare say 1,000,000 is on the low side, ha ha ha. The mockery grated the emperor's ears, with him lashing out. That mongrel came up with this move to put me on the spot. After inciting so many clashes between him and Regent Estate, I figured he'd be the weakest even if a winner. But he has gone beyond any forecast, becoming the biggest threat, taking the whole of Tianyu to war with me. The emperor's teeth grinding echoed out and Zhuge Chongfeng sighed. Oh, Your Majesty, it is both of our mistakes. We each wanted to use Zhuge Fan and throw Tianyu in even more chaos for our own benefit. I, for the chance at rebellion and Your Majesty, to cleanse it of all other factions. But at the end of it all, I fell for Your Majesty's scheme and now the kid has gotten all those factions Your Majesty wanted gone. Ha ha ha, a pawn turning into a player taking advantage of others. Your Majesty, he just cooked your goose. Shut your yap. The emperor bit back in anger. I am the son of heaven. I will not lose cough. After a harsh coughing fit, he looked to see the handkerchief stained in blood. The emperor hid it in his chest and stormed out. Zhuge Chongfeng, watch closely. The final winner shall be me. Zhuge Fan will die beyond any shadow of a doubt. Ha ha ha, show me. Just whose hands will these lands fall into? Zhuge Chongfeng replied. Yu Ming smiled and went after the emperor. The jail had regained tranquility, with water dripping to Zhuge Chongfeng's humming. Thump. The emperor burst into the imperial study and sat down. Guard. Yes, Your Majesty. Someone was already bowing. Is Shadow King back yet? No, Your Majesty. At this critical juncture he isn't back? Just what is he doing? The emperor slapped the table. Report. A soldier fell to his knee. Your Majesty, Sir Shadow King requests an audience. Chuanrong's High Commander and his generals await outside the palace as well. Send them in. The emperor rushed. Shadow King brought with him the echelons of Chuanrong army. Taoba Lianer and Tuoba Lufeng heard of their father's arrival and were now together with him, along with the 8 wolf wardens and the imperial tutor. All of them were here before the emperor. Greetings, Your Majesty. Tuoba Taizhan hinted at a bow, while others offered a full one. The emperor smiled. Commander, your reputation precedes your name. Now that I see you, it doesn't do you justice, ha ha ha. The emperor went to the heart of things. Commander, how did it go at your end? Is it done? Everyone looked hopefully at Tuoba Taizhan. It was about the fight between him and Dugu Zhantian. Everyone wished to know the result. Blushing, Tuoba Taizhan hesitated. Shadow King took charge with a sigh. Your Majesty, I have taken Dugu Zhantian down from the shadows. Oh. The emperor interjected and Shadow King continued. But Zhuge Fan showed up just then, becoming Dugu army's new marshal and took the struggling soldiers away. What? The emperor shouted. That punk took Dugu army? It's bad enough with his strength, but now he's even more of a pain. How is it that you didn't stop him? Or Dugu army at least? Shadow King sighed. Your Majesty is aware of his uncanny skills and I alone am not a match. But I don't know how. He even got Commander Taoba's beast army to cower. He even took Commander Taoba hostage. Ahem. Tuoba Taizhan interjected. That might very well be the worst humiliation of his life. The children looked astonished. Their undefeated father lost to a boy. Taoba Lianer was worried. Father, did he hurt you? Ha ha ha. He was only acting tough but could do nothing to me. Tuoba Taizhan shirked it off. Oh. Jalahan glared at the other 5 wolves. Is this how you guard the commander? Letting the enemy take our leader? What a disgrace. The wolves snorted, with Slaughter Wolf glumly saying, the brat has creepy skills. In that moment of chaos you'd fare no better. But to a cocky man like you, It will fall on deaf ears, having not clashed with him. Who said I haven't? I and Jabi had him cornered 3-on-1. Yet Jabi ended up bedridden for a month. I am. Jabi nudged Jalahan, though a little late. The 8 wolf wardens looked around and saw familiar looks. The kid got all our asses handed to us. Their mood hit rock bottom. Coming to Tianyu had given them the worst defeat of their careers. Tuoba Taizhan frowned. Your Majesty, just what on earth is he? How come we've never heard of someone with such skill? Father, allow me. I've been in Tianyu for months now and had him investigated. Tuoba Lufeng said. Zhuofan came from a no-name clan. He was born a servant and when the clan was on the brink of destruction, became its steward when all that was left of the clan was 2 children and a guard. From then on, he made deals with powerful figures, taking him 10 years to bring that clan from the brink of collapse to what we see today, leading the enemy faction. His Majesty even gave him Best Steward Beneath Heaven title as evidence of his remarkable skills in leading. He knows how to handle his men, taking the house's experts for himself. His allies have complete trust in him, bearing heavy responsibility. Yet even so, everyone respects and fears him. Enemies and friends alike have the same view. Cunning as a weasel, sadistic as a wolf, shifty as a snake and grand like a dragon. He may show off every chance he gets, but inside is an unscrupulous twisted mind waiting for the chance to pounce. Correct, the brat has become the biggest thorn in my side. The Emperor admitted. Tuoba Taizhan said, I knew he was something but never this much. I need to be even more cautious with him than with Dugu Zhantian. To that end, I asked Commander Tauba to march on Windgaze City. The Emperor urged. Tuoba Taizhan jerked. But I only just got to the imperial capital. My army. The kid is just too deceitful. In the name of his lord he is amassing power. I can't denounce him either. Not when you've strutted into Tianyu for everyone to see. Any delay will have him at the helm of millions of soldiers. If the Empire's 3 guardian sects get wind of this, our deal will fall through. What? They all gasped at Zhuofan's quick reaction. To guarantee a favorable resolution of this war, I'll be sending my divine dragons and Shadow King. Alas, the enemy has its own share of capable experts. The Emperor frowned. It's fine. Imperial Tutor spoke at last. 3 experts from the beast-taming sect have come as well. No matter how tough the enemy is, it will prove for naught. Chapter 482 Marching Army. Chapter 482 Marching Army. On the morrow, the clear dew glistening in the sunrise crumbled under the footsteps of a large procession, soldiers marching with discipline to a remote town at the borders. The bloodlust and warmongering blended into a chilly and choking atmosphere, snuffing out nature's tranquility. The predators on the prowl sensed the change and burrowed deeper into their caves, shivering out of fright. We animals don't have any prophetic devices, but we do have our 6th sense. We know today is a bad day to hunt. Fine, we'll just fast in our cribs. As their bellies expressed fierce disapproval, no animal dared to even peek outside, opting to go to bed hungry. Tuoba Lufeng gazed at the distant city. Lord Father, that is Windgaze City. It took us 2 months to meet our main army and travel our 3 million men at full speed. Tuoba Taizhan said, Where are the masters Tianyu's Majesty sent to help us break the arrays? Have them inspect the situation. Understood. Tuoba Lufeng bowed. 10 men flew towards Windgaze City, profound heaven experts and 6th grade array masters. There was hardly any array in Tianyu that could stand after their passing. They were soon back with a report though, Commander. The lands are covered in 500 arrays. 200 3rd grade with plenty of 5th and 6th grade. It will take time and effort to unravel. I just knew it was Zhuofan's trick, forcing me to fight him here. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. Tuoba Liufeng's face fell at the implications. Zhuofan is vile and twisted, adhering to the art of war and choosing the right location, right time and right men. The drafting is not as important as forcing Father to come here. We have to strike hard and fast. He holds down the city and has a terrain advantage. That's not all, Tuoba Taizhan sighed. We have the numerical advantage, but he can cower our beasts, thwarting our beast armies. On top of that he has arrays on his side. Numbers will do us no good here. But the outcome can go either way in this case. This Shuafan has played on his strengths to the utmost and cut ours. I can even venture to say he'll have the battlefield under control from the start and string us along. Tuobalufong was uneasy. Looking at the city, all he saw was a steel bastion. Shuafan is horrifying. Father, what do we do? Let the array masters do their work for now, and then we'll see his reaction. Tuoba Taizhan looked at those 10 men. Break the arrays, hurry. Eh. Put on the spot, one of them bowed. Commander, there are 500 arrays there, with some special ones mixed in between. It will take years, decades. That's your problem. Military orders are paramount, go. Tuoba Taizhan barked. The men grew downcast. For God's sake, this amateur only knows how to bark orders. With so many arrays they'd soon be caught dead instead of breaking them, quite literally. To say nothing of someone coming out and taking their lives. Chuenrong, god of war, my foot. You know nothing of arrays. Since using force is out of the question, you stick us in? Good cover-up. Where there's arrays, send in the breakers, is that it? The men cursed and cursed, but still obeyed. Whoosh. Arriving at the edge of Windgaze City, they got to work. Hoping to high heavens no one would come out to kill the poor saps. Yet was there ever an array owner who didn't know his stuff was being tampered with? In Luo Clan's hall, discussions of recruitment were ongoing when Zhuafan jerked and smiled. Steward Zhua, what is it? Grandmother asked. Zhuafan shook his head. Just then, a Luo Clan disciple rushed in. Steward Zhua, 10 old men are outside making signs. I can't make out any of it, but it seems to be cracking the arrays. Of course they are. You may go, it's fine. Just act as usual. Zhuafan waved. Oh. The man left while the house lords were panicking. Long Yifi said, does that mean Tuoba Taizhan is here? It's too fast. We're nowhere near ready. So what if it is fast? Zhuafan snickered. Let's go for a walk, see the fogies hard at work. The others were puzzled. The enemy's at the gates and you're in the mood for a stroll. Then they eased up. With the kid always playing cool, chilling means all is in the bag, so why worry? The men followed Zhuafan. They flew above the town and saw the 10 oldies shifting through gestures, faces red and cursing all the while. Jesus Christ, who the hell set this up? How is a second-grade array so damn complicated? And what kind of style is this? I've never seen it before in my life. They must have some array grandmaster to pull such precise arrays. Nothing works at breaking it. Enough chatter and more elbow grease. The oldies grumbled at the task turned impossible, making no headway all this time. These grand 6th-grade array masters balked before a 2nd-grade array. It was anything but normal. Long Yifi's group nodded up above, with even more admiration for Zhuafan. Steward Zhua's skills are uncanny. Vexing those coots to death, ha, Long Yifi laughed. The others bobbed their heads. Zhuafan chuckled. I may be competent in arrays, but not enough to make a 2nd-grade array have the power of a 6th. They can't break it because they don't understand it. Zhuafan yelled, trying to break a mere 2nd-grade array with gestures? You're profound heaven experts, for crying out loud, why not use force? Are you brain dead? Why didn't I think of that? The 10 men nodded and smiled above. They were curious to see their savior. Though Zhuafan's cold smile scared them witless. Zhuafan. He has come to kill us. One man wailed, his knees shaking from fear. Zhuafan waved, it's fine, keep up the good work. You have all the time in the world, ha. Zhuafan chuckled, landing on the town gate stairs. The house lords were stunned, following him. The most shocked were the fogies. One collected his meager courage. Old friends, do we continue? Another nodded, and why not? With both sides giving us the go-ahead, we'll do just that. The others exclaimed. Yeah, it's rare enough to have both sides in agreement, so let's just do it. Not doing so might get us a quicker death. The 10 made signs again, but soon opted for Zhuafan's idea, to force their way through the 2nd-grade arrays. The house lords turned from them to Zhuafan. Steward Zhua, what's this all about? I'm waiting. For what? The experts to show up. Zhuafan snickered. Tuoba Taizhan isn't charging because of the arrays. He had these 10 bags of bones take a crack at them first. Killing them is within right but shows nervousness, while sparing them raises the suspicion of using the empty city tactic. It's a classic war tactic blending truth and lies. The odder my reactions, the more confused he will be and less prone to act. But time waits for no one. The longer he waits, the bigger our power in Tianyu grows. He will act, and with experts, in the fastest and hardest way. The House Lords thought. Steward Zhua has been aiming for those experts from the start. I'm just dying to see what counter the Emperor has, now that he knows young Sanzi is with me. Zhua Fan's eyes were a sucking abyss. Chapter 483. The Tiger, the Wolf and the Snake. Chapter 483. The Tiger, the Wolf and the Snake. Lord Father, just what on earth is Zhua Fan thinking? Someone's cracking his defenses, yet he just stands there to watch? He's looking down on us. Tuoba Lufeng pointed at the House Lords with an odd look. Tuoba Taizhan frowned. Are those arrays real or not? Is he buying time? His actions are baffling and hard to make sense of. Lufeng, come with me to see the elders. Tuoba Taizhan spoke. Tuoba Lufeng cried, so soon? Aren't they our trump card? Speed is of the essence in war. Tuoba Taizhan walked and Tuoba Lufeng hurried after. The two came upon a tent when they heard a nasty voice. Liener, you have a wonderful and fine constitution. So young and yet so able in beast taming. 2 years under my tutelage and you'll surpass even me. I thank you, Elder Shi, for your kind words, but I can't bear to leave my family, Liener said with difficulty. Another voice cut her off. Commander Tauba will not stand in the way of Liener's brilliant future. Tuoba Taizhan was outraged. That coot is being fresh with my daughter. Tuoba Lufeng was just as annoyed. But they both bottled the rage as they entered. Commander, young master. The 8 wolf wardens bowed, though just as outraged. While above the main seat were 3 extra-wide chairs, occupied by bare-chested men showing their muscles. One man had silky black hair with big eyebrows and big eyes. On his chest was a huge and ferocious tiger. The father and son bowed. Elder Hu. On his right was a bearded elder with narrow eyes and knit brows, yet he let out an eerie green gaze, instilling fear. On his chest was a mangy wolf. Elder Lang. The two bowed again. The last one had a sinister face, with a handlebar mustache and vulgar eyes. His hand was caressing Tauba Liener's soft hand as he showed a content look. On his chest was a viper with savage eyes. The father and son clenched their fists and bowed. Elder Shi. Ha ha ha, Commander Tauba. Elder Shi never drew his hand. Liener couldn't take hers back even if she wanted to either. He was taking advantage of the commander's daughter in broad daylight. These 3 never cared much about him anyway. Imperial Tutor saw Tuoba Taizhan on the brink of exploding. Brother Taizhan. Have you come to ask the elders to step in? Yes. Tuoba Taizhan cupped his hands. Elders, please break the city's arrays and help my army enter Windgaze City. The 3 elders snorted. Elder Shi was still holding that oh so fine hand. Commander Tauba, I thought I told you we are ethereal stage experts, not your soldiers. Breaking arrays is your job. We're only here to deal with any unforeseen expert that may crop up. The other elders nodded. Pretentious pricks, breaking the defense isn't your duty, but hitting on my little girl is. Tuoba Taizhan fumed. The 8 wolf wardens glowered with bloodlust. But the elders had no care in the world. Radiant stage experts could come and score at them and it'd still do nothing. Han Tiama mediated. Elders, it involves Tianyu giving us 1/10 of its lands, rich in spirit mines, of interest to beast taming sect. With the arrays in place, Commander Tauba's attacks will be for naught, and the more time passes the worse it will get, leading to defeat. When you return to the sect, it will be hard to explain it. Imperial Tutor, is that a threat? Elder Hu glared. Han Tiama waved. I would never. It is only a conclusion of mine. The longer we take, the more likely it is for Tianyu's 3 guardian sects to hear of this. It will blow the easy credit elders will take into smoke and return empty-handed. Sigh, I just can't bear to see it. The 3 changed expressions at last. It was Elder Hu who nodded. Imperial Tutor, you have a good head on your shoulders. Right then, we better get it over with. Obscene snake jackal, let's go. We'll have plenty of time for fun when we get Tianyu's land. Elder Hu left. Elder Lang was fast behind while Elder Shi sighed at his breakup with Lianer's hand, though not forgetting to give Lianer a once-over, filled with unmentionable promises. Lianer, I want you as my disciple, hi hi hi. All three left the tent. Tuoba Taizhan shuddered in pure anger. Jalahan roared. You call those beast-taming sect elders? They're a joke. Lianer sobbed in silence, with Tuoba Lufeng hugging her. Han Tiama sighed, Brother Taizhan, come, you know about conquering cities best. Your experience is needed. The 8 wolf wardens have to come as well. Conquering? How can I ever say that when I am so powerless, as a commander of Chuanrong, to even protect my own daughter? Tuoba Taizhan blustered. Han Tiama sighed. There was no way to know they'd send these childish men when we asked the beast-taming sect for help. Hu Xiongming, Lang Cambao and Shi Yinxie are the worst allies to have. I heard Yinxie even has a coupling skill, robbing countless women of their yin. Brother Taizhan, danger will come now that he has his eyes on your daughter. I advise you to take her someplace else where he can't find her. Tuoba Taizhan looked at Lianer with worry. Lianer was nervous watching him lost. Han Tiama, His Highness the Crown Prince, had asked for Lianer last year. If I agree, Tuoba Taizhan hesitated, that Yinxie won't dare make a move on the Crown Prince's woman. Han Tiama nodded, but His Highness is lustful and reckless. There will be no way out from this. At least Lianer will be safe. When a girl's yin will be robbed, her life will go with it. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. Lianer was heartbroken, with big tears streaming down her cheek knowing her impossible fate. Moving on to the elders flying to Windgaze City, they showed unprecedented mockery at the 500 arrays shining on the clouds above. Is this what has made Tuoba Taizhan so jittery? Humph, a snap from us and it'll be all over. Elder Hu laughed. That old fool must be scared of taking too many losses to send us. Meng Hu, just get on with it already. Elder Lang hurried him on. I'll do it then, since everyone knows arrays beneath 7th grade are pointless. They can't do anything to ethereal stage experts. Breaking these arrays is a cinch. Just as he moved, a voice came. Commander Tauba sent you? It's no use with these strange arrays. You can only do it by force. One old man said, taking them for allies. Zhuofan's gang heard him as well. They jerked, noticing the 3 elders. They must be really strong to come so close yet for us to not notice them, grandmother said. Zhuofan frowned. The experts are here. Elder Lang snorted at the old men and flicked a blue wind. Zhuofan watched as the fogies fell to the ground with empty eyes. Soul destruction. An ethereal stage expert. Zhuofan shouted. Chapter 484 Stalling. Chapter 484 Stalling. Ethereal stage experts? The House Lords cried. Tianyu had never seen the likes of an ethereal stage expert in its history. Not until Li Jingtian. Yet finding 3 of them in one place had them all shell-shocked. Zhuofan knew this conflict was bound to lead to this. Grandmother, please call Elder Li and the couple. I'll stall them. Steward Zhua, can't all these arrays stall them? Why must you go yourself? Grandmother asked. A kaboom sound gave the answer. A simple wave of Elder Lang's sleeve made all the impervious arrays crumble. The House Lords were dumbstruck, staring into nothing. The arrays weren't worth even a roadblock to ethereal stage experts. Zhuofan was sweating. Does that answer you? There's a saying, beneath 7th grade everything is ethereal. No array under the 7th grade can hold back an ethereal stage expert. The House Lords stared dully at Zhuofan, their minds still catching up to reality. What are you looking at me for? Go get the elders. Zhuofan barked and they shot for Blackwind Mountain. Against ethereal stage experts, Li Jingtian was the only one who could fight them. Elder Lang mocked them. 3 profound heaven ants trying to crawl away? Think again. He flicked again just as Zhuofan blocked him. Elder Lang was taken aback for a second there, as were the others. The only profound heaven cultivators they saw were the kind to flee at their sight. This sole exception had them lost. Elder Lang faltered mid-attack. Tuoba Taizhan was coming over, leading his army with the fall of the arrays when he stumbled upon this scene. They were just as dumbstruck. That's Shua Fan. What's this new marshal doing, stopping the old guys looking to die? Jalahan blurted. It was the unanimous reaction on everyone's faces. Only the veteran Tuoba Taizhan had a bad feeling from his honed instincts through decades of bloodshed. Kid, do you have any idea who we are? Elder Lang snorted. Zhuofan mocked. How should I know? You didn't tell me. And not to forget, who do you think you are to have the gall to destroy my 500 arrays? Ha ha ha, only an ignorant fool would block me. Elder Lang cackled. Jalahan was baffled. Wasn't this guy always clever? Even without knowing how to identify an ethereal stage expert from the crowd, that demonstration is obvious enough to make a difference. He should be running right about now. The others thought Zhuofan an idiot as well. Only a handful, Tuoba Taizhan included, sensed something odd. Then perk up your ignorant ears, fool, we are ethereal stage experts. Elder Lang stuck out his chin with boundless confidence. By his reckoning, the kid should now be soiling his pants and wailing in horror. After all, ethereal stage was the peak of power in the Western lands. And he, with his wolfish temper, just loved to toy with his food. First drive fear into their hearts, then hunt them down in the cruelest way imaginable. Zhuofan wouldn't play ball though. The only look on his face was a long one. Ethereal stage expert. What's that? I've only heard radiant stage expert as the strongest. Tianyu only has radiant stage experts also. My life's goal has always been to reach it and become the best in the world. Ugh. Elder Lang felt like talking to a wall. This kid's ignorance is mind-blowing, taking radiant stage as the peak of cultivation. Which clan is he from? How sad that they know so little of the world. His plan to act the blowhard went down the drain now that the audience was too dumb to acknowledge his greatness. Elder Lang clenched his fist to get rid of this eyesore. And yet, he just couldn't have the fool die without knowing his swag. That would be immoral. And so the fiend in him doubled down on giving him the ins and outs of ethereal stage with utmost patience. Kid, ethereal stage is a level beyond the radiant stage. Even 100 radiant stage experts can't beat a single one. Oh, so that's how it is. That makes you awesomer than radiant stage experts. Zhuofan bobbed his head, enlightened. Elder Lang chuckled with pride. Now that he knows to recognize greatness, next should be fear. Once he runs, we'll hunt him down. Hi. Zhuofan had no such intention though, ever calm and ever baffling. Boy, don't you know our greatness? Elder Lang blinked. Zhuofan nodded. Of course, you're ethereal stage experts. Able to beat 100 radiant stage experts, no? You already said that. Don't tell me you forgot. Is senility setting in already? Elder Lang choked on his words and exploded. Why aren't you running scared? Where's the horror, the panic? Why are your pants dry still? Because? Looking back to see the house lords gone, Zhuofan snickered. Because I can't let you pass. Say what? The trio cried. When a radiant stage expert goes ethereal, his soul achieves enlightenment, free of the world's bindings, crushing anything beneath 7th grade. Zhuofan shook his head, his tone sarcastic. I knew the instant you broke my arrays how strong you were. I was only faking it, play pretend, act the fool to yank your chain. How else would those old buddies of mine make a run for it? What a stroke of dumb luck that I got stuck with you 3 morons to play 20 questions with. Lianer giggled and the others chortled. The old ones were their helpers, but they didn't win Tauba Army's respect in the least. It sure livened them up seeing them toyed by a child. Tuoba Taizhan nodded. Old Dugu made the right choice, brave and shrewd, honorable and noble. He is the best choice to be Dugu Army's marshal. And yet, Tuoba Taizhan frowned. Rotten piece of scat. You dare to play me? Elder Lang blustered, slapping. A vile air gathered around his hand and that simple palm turned into a savage wolf, entering Zhuofan. With a fierce headache, his soul felt gnawed at, his mind fading. It was a perk of reaching the ethereal stage, soul destruction. Radiant stage could launch soul attacks, while ethereal stage took it one step further, making it materialize and even turn into a spirit. Take Elder Lang for example. His soul turned into that of a wolf. It would enter the target and feast on his soul. Bam! Zhuofan slammed into the city wall and got buried under the rubble. Elder Lang wrote him off, turning away. A puny profound heaven ant dares toy with us. He only played you. We've got nothing to do with it. Fierce Tiger excused himself. Obscene Snake nodded. With how an ethereal stage expert was duped by a profound heaven pup, he'd have no honor left to face the world. The best way out of it was to get that lame wolf to be the patsy. Elder Lang was speechless, realizing how honorless they were. Like you saw through the kid's act of stalling. But weren't we all taken in? You're no better. How childish. Alas, this shall be the second time in my long life that I shall mourn over the death of my adversary. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. First was old Dugu. And when I thought of Zhuofan to be my next adversary, he would meet his end before we could even test ourselves. Heroes always die young. This victory brings me no joy. The others nodded. Even as their enemy, Zhuofan had earned their respect. Taoba Lianer sighed, recalling their fond first encounter, and was touched by sadness. He did save me once, I guess. The rubble lit up with a flash of azure. Chapter 485, Fighting Ethereal Stage Expert. Chapter 485. Fighting Ethereal Stage Expert. How could this be? Elder Lang stared at the rubble with palpable shock. Why do I still sense life force from it? Did he survive? The other elders mimicked his shock. Boom! Zhuofan unfolded his wings and shot into the sky. He had an azure flame hovering on his forehead. How the hell did he survive Elder Lang's strike? Jalahan was in denial. An ethereal stage expert using soul destruction on a profound heaven cultivator was tantamount to squashing a bug. An overkill. Yet to survive such a devastating blow, Zhuofan had garnered everyone's odd looks. Even those elders considered him a freak. Huff! Gasping, Zhuofan bled from his mouth, though the azure flame grew in intensity. Reaching out to feel the heat, Zhuofan rejoiced. The azure flame was his sole guardian. Elder Lang squinted and said, Fierce Tiger, something is seriously off about him. He took my palm, yet all he got was a flesh wound. It just doesn't make sense. Elder Hu ventured. He must have a soul spiritual weapon or a demonic treasure. That's the only explanation. A fire burned in Elder Hu and Elder Shi's eyes, their looks full of greed. Soul treasures were as scarce as hen's teeth, even for ethereal stage experts. Elder Hu had lost his bloodlust, now turned into lust for wealth. Zhuofan, reading them like an open book, made a stealthy sign. Heaven-cracking howl. Elder Lang cut right to the chase, unleashing a huge wolf image around him that pounced at Zhuofan as he shot forward with his palm. He unleashed all his soul power with a soul martial art. Such overkill was unheard of. An ethereal stage expert using a martial art on a tiny profound heaven cultivator. It went to show that Elder Lang cared for nothing but to kill his quarry outright, even foregoing his status, to get his hands on that treasure as soon as possible. All the treasures in the world wouldn't protect Zhuofan this time, giving him a one-way trip down under. Elder Hu and Elder Shi snorted. Tuoba Tieshan's side's mood was heavy, with Lianer even showing worry. Zhuofan's sign completed as he shouted, Wraith Style's third move, modified Necro Dragon Screech, Kuan Phoenix Lightning. Shriek. A resounding cry announced the appearance of an odd and humongous bird. Covered in azure flames and with purple lightning streaking its body, it got even the space to warp. Zhuofan used the traits of two sacred beasts in unleashing this new move, specialized in souls. The azure flame was a gem in refining the soul, while the purple lightning was its opposite, rampant and savage in its deadly destructive power. Zhuofan was confident his move could help him hold his own against an ethereal stage expert. What is that thing? Elder Lang shuddered. Whoosh! The odd bird shot straight for the wolf before he could react. Bam! On impact, the bird scattered and Zhuofan spat blood. He got a killer headache while the azure flame burned hotter. Yet the scattering motes of azure stuck to the wolf, making it howl in agony. Purple lightning shot like a snake through it, punching hundreds of holes and pulverizing the rest. Elder Lang was trembling, gawking at the impossible made possible as blood seeped from his mouth. Then came a world of hurt, a searing pain lacing through his head. Jackal, His friends turned from him to the weakened Zhuo Fan, having lost their contempt. A profound heaven cultivator and an ethereal stage expert went head-to-head. The result? The ethereal stage expert was badly wounded. It was unprecedented. No matter the soul martial art used, nothing could have bridged the abyss between them. It made no sense at all. The elders were floored and Tuoba Tieshan's side was dumbstruck. They had written Zhuo Fan off in the last strike, but the cunning kid not only fought Elder Lang back, but gave him a blow he wouldn't soon forget. Their eyes held unspeakable horror when watching this abomination. Is he even a bloody human? Zhuo Fan took a deep breath, his face pale and hands shaking. He had one-upped Elder Lang good with that move, but there was no denying it, their gap was just too huge. He took that soul destruction martial art and lived, but he was in an even sorrier state, about to break. A casual strike would kill him at this point. He was in the worst danger of his life. Elder Lang bore through the soul pain, and despite the soul scarring he went through, it paled compared to Zhuo Fan's precarious state. But it carried a far heavier weight, the greatest humiliation of his life. Rotten punk, I'll kill you. Elder Lang spat through clenched teeth, stomping towards him. Each step shook the earth. Elder Hu reminded Jackal, he's on his last leg. Another soul attack will finish him. I know that, but I won't give him the satisfaction of a quick death. Elder Lang flicked and a blue wind shot for Zhuo Fan. The incoming storm howled like countless beasts. It went beyond mere wind, but became a horde of thumb-sized wolves, clawing for their prey. Profound ranked martial art devouring wolf pack. I will tear your soul one mote at a time to let you taste unspeakable torture. Elder Lang roared. Lianer covered her mouth, tearing up. The rest lamented. Zhuo Fan is an unrivaled warrior of his generation. Instead of respect, he is met with a cruel death. Zhuo Fan shook, his mind going a mile a minute. Maybe shift will work. But the soul attack didn't give him any room to wiggle. It was then that a shout came. Soaring demonic dragon. Roar. With a rumble, a black dragon appeared around Zhuo Fan, whipping the wolf storm away. Elder Lang stepped back, watching the imposing man shielding Zhuo Fan and oozing black energy. Elderly, took you long enough. Zhuo Fan grinned. Steward Zhuo, forgive the delay. Li Jingtian saw his weakened state and turned his bloodshot eyes at Elder Lang. Did you hurt Steward Zhuo? I'll tear you to pieces. Li Jingtian shouted. Elder Lang mocked. You're fresh into the ethereal stage. You've barely focused your soul to be able to take that tone with me, you blowhard. The only reason you pushed me back is because I'm wounded. Be a good boy and scram. It'd be a pity for a stray attack to end you. It'll make reaching ethereal stage a waste. Haha, elderly, see that? They're in the ethereal stage, yet their brains on the fritz. Especially that Whitebeard with his wolf soul. He takes the cake. Here we are at war, and the imbecile spills the beans on his condition. He has more value as an enemy than an ally. Zhuo Fan was full of contempt. Elder Hu and Elder She glared at Elder Lang. They had to admit. The kid is friggin' right. Lianer giggled again while the rest smiled and nodded. In this precarious moment, Zhuo Fan keeps his cool like a true martial and hero. Only Elder Lang's face grew hotter with every jab about to pop. Chapter 486. Ethereal Battle. Chapter 486. Ethereal Battle. Punk-ass brat, I'll cut you from stem to stern. Elder Lang spat, but Elder Hu held him back. Jackal, you're wounded. Let me handle it. Elder Hu exploded with power, enveloped by a tiger image. His mighty and imposing figure made it hard for even the wounded Zhuo Fan to breathe. Third layer of ethereal stage is no pushover. I can feel it even from behind elderly. Li Jingtian tensed, face hard but eyes raging, typical martial fanatic stuff. Ha ha ha, right on time. Li Jingtian stepped up, surrounded by a black dragon. Its aura wasn't on par with the tiger, but didn't lose much either. Fierce Tiger grumbled. What the hell is wrong with this place? They're all freaks of nature. I have 2 layers on him and should hold the advantage. Yet this advantage is barely visible. There's no way he's 2 layers under me. Elder Hu looked on with suspicion. How was he to know Li Jingtian was a martial fanatic through and through? When the going got tough, he got more going. Besides, he had the heaven-reaching pill on his side. With Yuan Qi surging like a sea, he wielded the power to jump layers, from first to third. Bam! The dragon and tiger clashed, shuddering the space around them. With both of them stepping back from the clash, 5 steps on Elder Hu's corner and 10 on Li Jingtian's. Though the most shocked were Fierce Tiger and his gang, their eyes popping out. A fresh ethereal stage cultivator just stood up to a seasoned 3rd layer 1. For crying out loud, what do they feed these guys? First was the profound heaven prick and now this. Is this a worldly sect or what? How are they all talents? The trio was speechless. Fierce Tiger grumbled but still wouldn't accept it, rushing with another tiger at Li Jingtian. I refuse to frickin' believe the great me can't handle an ethereal stage newbie. Li Jingtian obliged Fierce Tiger with another black dragon. The same thing happened, but this time Li Jingtian fell only 7 steps back. Fierce Tiger was even more annoyed. Li Jingtian was growing as he fought. His 2 other elders watched shell-shocked. Is Windgaze City a den of fiends? Not one of them is human. Again. Li Jingtian was perky, going for another strike. Fierce Tiger shuddered but had to meet him. Black Dragon and Tiger tackled each other till the sky turned dark and the earth rumbled, meeting at every turn with no one having the advantage. Soul waves filled the sky, causing even the jackal and obscene snake to grumble. Weren't they claiming there was no ethereal stage expert in Tianyu? We came here for a stroll, killing the enemy left and right. Yet an ethereal stage cultivator had just shown up to stand up to Fierce Tiger, and stand up he did. Intelligence at Tianyu is a small fry. Wait till I get my hands on them. At least the situation wasn't completely out of control, since they had the numbers advantage. Jackal swiveled his insidious eyes on Zhuofan. He wounded whelp, you've lost your shield. Be good and drop dead. Jackal sent blue howling winds with bared fangs and maws. Zhuofan stood still out of lack of strength if nothing else. Li Jingtian had no way to help, not when tangled with Fierce Tiger. It was then that a couple shouted, fire and water combine. Life and death art. Who? A white and blinding ray shined through the clouds, running over Elder Lang's attack and going for him. The elder defended with his hand, but the white ray was a fusion of blazing heat and icy water, turning it into an unstoppable force, driving pain into the depths of his soul. He clenched and the ray scattered into motes, yet his face switched between burning hot and ice cold, shuddering all the while. Jackal, are you all right? Obscene snake cried. Elder Lang gnashed his teeth, shaking off the ice and scorching heat, but not the killer headache. He found 2 people shielding Zhuofan, the power couple Qiu Yanhai and Xue Qingjian. For God's sake, this place is a freak show. How can 2 peak radiant stage experts hurt me? Gasping, Elder Lang spat. They are close to the ethereal stage, but they haven't given their soul form and can't use soul destruction. That strike is only a pseudo-ethereal stage's attack at best. I'll wipe the floor with these ignorant fools. Hold on. Obscene Snake called, his lustful eyes roaming over Xue Qingjian's exquisite form and gulping. Leave the 2, especially the woman, to me. Jackal knew his sick hobby had reared its ugly head and nodded. Qiu Yanhai saw he was after his old gal with those foul eyes and roared, Biddy, let's take that old coot down together. Hi, why jealous much? Xue Qingjian giggled with love. Qiu Yanhai felt like spitting fire from rage. Zhuofan reminded Elder Qiu, Sister Xue, he's in the 2nd layer of ethereal stage. It will be hard even if you are together. Steward Xue, we got this. Qiu Yanhai snorted. Xue Qingjian beamed. My old codger is just that feisty. Not even I can hold him back. Zhuofan glanced at Obscene Snake. Sister Xue, lend me your ear. Xue Qingjian was dazed for a moment and nodded at his message before flying after Qiu Yanhai. Obscene Snake laughed when the couple came, just what he wanted. Elder Lang saw that Zhuofan was by himself at long last and grinned. Though Zhuofan snickered, you crusty old coot, haven't you had enough? Bring it if you're so confident that I'm alone. You've gotten hurt thrice now, so let's see how many hits can a 2nd layer of ethereal stage expert take. Jackal frowned. Thinking back, All his wounds came from taking his enemy lightly. First at Zhuo Fan's hand, second at Li Jingtian coming to the kid's rescue whipping him away, and third by the power couple. Each of these beatdowns wasn't much by itself, but they compounded. Sooner or later he'd have so many. His soul would be damaged, making it dangerous. This would never have happened if they all came at him from the front and open. I just had to be careless. Jackal scanned his surroundings, showing utmost caution to not fall for any more cons. Zhuo Fan smiled, figuring him out, say, "Who do you think will win, my side or yours? Your new ethereal stage cultivator looks tough, but there's no way he can stand up to Fierce Tiger in the third layer. It's only a matter of time. As for the other two, they're just at peak radiant stage. They may attack with ethereal stage power when united, but are in no way up to Obscene Snake's second layer standard." Jackal mocked. Zhuo Fan nodded. "That makes it easy then. I'm barely hanging on and you're waiting for their outcome. When you'll have them taken care of by your flanks, getting me should be easy peasy, no?" "True. I must say the kid is only in profound heaven stage and wounded to boot, yet makes a whole lot of sense. He won't go anywhere. And when his buddies have finished their matches, he'd have no problem taking the punk out, tormenting and running him through a hell only his twisted mind could conceive." Jackal nodded and took on the air of a true expert. Tuoba Taizhan shook his head. Elder Lang's brain must be missing something to get stiff again. Chapter 487. Lust Ain't All Fun and Games. Chapter 487. Lust Ain't All Fun and Games. How? Tuoba Lufeng asked. Tuoba Taizhan explained, stalling. "I don't know what the kid's game is, but one thing is certain, he's buying time for something. Lufeng, whenever you encounter a situation like this, you don't chat your enemy up and be firm in your decision. Fear is the mind killer." Tuoba Lufeng nodded. "Should we tell him?" "Absolutely not." Tuoba Taizhan and Han Tianma spoke in tandem and then burst out laughing. The others were clueless to the inside joke. From what they saw, the commander and imperial tutor were worried Tuoba Lufeng might spill the beans. All of them grumbled at the old foxes. Han Tianma said, "Lufeng, what do you suppose will happen by going to Elder Lang and telling him he's stupid to his face?" "I'll be ground to a pulp," Tuoba Lufeng said, puzzled. Han Tianma added, "And that's the truth of it. The elders are selfish, rash and on a high horse. Reminding them that they've been fooled again is the same as calling them dim-witted. They'll see the light all right, but only after taking your life." That being said, Zhuo Fan's one smooth talker, prepping Elder Lang in just a few short words to attack you if you ever try ruining his plan. Tuoba Lufeng was soaked in sweat, bowing many times in thanks. Tuoba Taizhan said, "These three are foul men. They may be our helpers, but one should stay as far away as possible from them. The worse they are, the better. Just look at Zhuo Fan making them suffer at every turn. Our great commander wants Zhuo Fan to take these foul bastards down a peg." They all sported a sneaky smile, like first-row seaters to a great show. They were even rooting for Zhuo Fan. "Marshal Zhuo, hold nothing back, don't even show us respect. Waste he." Han Tianma shook his head at their stance. Anyways, back to the fight. The power couple versus Elder Shi was in progress. Qiu Yanhai and Xue Qingjian touched palms as they used the life and death art, gathering an incredible power in between. Not that Elder Shi had a mind to care, getting hot and bothered over Xue Qingjian's body, even wiggling his eyebrows. Xue Qingjian batted her eyes in reply. Qiu Yanhai was outraged and with a swing of his arm, he shot the soul power attack. The white light warped the air as it shot for Obscene Snake's chest. Elder Shi was still grinning, surrounded now by snake images woven into a net. The white light stopped dead in its tracks and its power faded. It thinned down from a bull-thick width all the way to that of a spear. Qiu Yanhai saw the snake sucking on his ray. He foolish juniors, peak radiant stage is worlds below ethereal stage. You use soul power, while ethereal stage can use their very soul. It's beyond your comprehension. Surrender if you know what's good for you. Obscene Snake laughed and resumed leering at Xue Qingjian's perfect form. "Especially you, my pretty, I'd hate to kill you. You'd make a much finer contribution as my disciple. What do you say?" You dirty old man, she's my hag, so don't waste your friggin' breath. Qiu Yanhai blustered. Elder Shi waved a python at him. It coiled around him, and opened its maw and spat miasma. Qiu Yanhai's eyes grew hazy, making him lethargic. His mind started drifting. Old codger! Xue Qingjian shouted. Obscene Snake snickered. Dearie, your old man is fine. But since my soul is the king python, now that he's poisoned, it will rot his soul to death. No one can save him. No! Xue Qingjian panicked. Obscene Snake curled his finger at her. I can spare him, sure, but you have to become mine. So what do you say to coming over? Xue Qingjian saw Qiu Yanhai in the clutches of the python and sighed, walking over to that wretched Obscene Snake. Jackal laughed. One battle we've already won. When Fierce Tiger finishes that old guy, I will deal with you. I'll give you a taste of living hell, ha ha ha. Zhuofan opted for silence, his eyes focused on Xue Qingjian. Come my pretty, hi. As she got close, Obscene Snake yanked her into his embrace. Xue Qingjian struggled to shake him off, to no avail. Her eyes darted around, her voice soft and soothing, be gentle. You're hurting me. Bag of dead bones, let my hag go. Qiu Yanhai should have been put under from the python's poison. Obscene Snake gave him a taunting look, turning back to his prey. My pretty, I'll let you go but don't go anywhere. Where can I go? I'll always be with you, haha, Xue Qingjian giggled. Obscene Snake let go of her and Xue Qingjian's eyes turned cold, striking his chest. Obscene Snake easily held her palm, grabbing Xue Qingjian tighter. Haha, I just knew you're sassy. I like you. Plenty of sassy girls have wanted to kill me or kill themselves, but all of them ended up in my hands. You're no different. Go to hell. Xue Qingjian lashed. That only got Obscene Snake more excited. My pretty, the feistier you are, the more you turn me on. Now give me a big kiss. Obscene Snake puckered his lips, closing in on Xue Qingjian's pristine face. Stop, pervert. Qiu Yanhai roared, still trapped. Obscene Snake's lips did touch a face, but when he looked at that face, the sight scared him to death. What are you doing here? Obscene Snake, hugging Zhuofan, felt like taking a bite out of something foul and rotten. Elder Lang was dumbstruck, finding Xue Qingjian in Zhuofan's place. Old coot, how do you like my eyes? Are they nice? Zhuofan cooed. Obscene Snake was all shaken up, to the point of parting with his lunch. I'm here to kiss a hottie, not a guy. And you're asking me about your eyes? Shove off. Zhuofan was glued to him before Obscene Snake could shake him off. Zhuofan grabbed his head and stared into his eyes in a touching moment. Hey, are little old me's eyes pretty? You damn pervert, you like playing around, is it? See how I'll knock you dead. Obscene Snake roared, his rage breaking the vault of heaven, as if Zhuofan had killed his mama and then asked him if he liked it. Zhuofan stuck to him like a koala, his eyes flashing golden. They are pretty, you know, look closer. Look at your... Obscene Snake's head simply vanished. It was all part of Zhuofan's clever ploy. Xue Qingjian was the honeypot, then they'd use the old switcheroo to catch him on the wrong foot, or with the wrong beauty. All that was left was for Zhuofan to use that eye of his, void annihilation, and deprive the old man of the useless decoration on his shoulders. Blood spurted like a fountain and his body hit dirt. Chapter 488. All-Out Assault. Chapter 488. All-Out Assault. Obscene Snake. Elder Lang cried. Tuoba Tieshan's side was just as stunned. They knew Zhuofan was up to no good, but they had failed to grasp how high Zhuofan would shoot. A profound heaven cultivator taking down an ethereal stage expert's head. He first neutralized Elder Lang with words while aiming for Elder Shi. Zhuofan is insidious. Tuoba Taishan gasped. The others were on the same page about that. Taobalianer was dazed, looking at the slumping corpse as her heart gave an odd thump. Zhuofan jumped away and shouted, Elderly, they're enraged. Flee. Li Jingtian's ears twitched and he broke away. While chasing them, Fierce Tiger sensed danger from the spatial fluctuations and dodged. He saw Zhuofan's right eye's 2 golden rings. Whoosh! Li Jingtian grabbed Zhuofan and flew away. With Obscene Snake losing his head, The python around Qiu Yinhai faded away. He rejoined Xue Qingjian and they were right behind Li Jingtian. Fierce Tiger went over to Obscene Snake's body, then glared at Jackal. What the hell happened? How did they get his head? Elder Lang was still shaken up, stomping. How should I know? 1 second he was here in front of me and then the next second the punk was in Obscene Snake's arms taking his head. He was dead before I even saw it. He got what he deserved, looking down on his enemy and going mad with lust. I've told him time and time again, lust ain't all fun and games. This is the result. Enough of your useless advice. It's all your fault for not having a hold on the brat. With a bellow, Obscene Snake's corpse flopped around and a brown python came out of it. It had cruel eyes, always hissing and equipped with a pair of poisonous fangs ready to tear its prey. That rotten bastard ruined my body. I will tear his soul and take his body as revenge. The python raved, its tail lashing everywhere. Elder Hu and Jackal shrugged, then watched Chuafan go. Old Lang, should we help Obscene Snake get a new body? Of course, even without that damn snake's issue, I'd still tear the punk limb from limb. Elder Lang gnashed his teeth. Obscene Snake's body flopped some more, his voice howling. What are you waiting for? Get him. Without a body, I'm losing 1/10 of my strength every quarter of an hour. I need to get him fast. Why not just pick anyone? Get yourself a body first and then we'll go. Fierce Tiger proposed. But Obscene Snake shook his huge head in anger. Screw that, the kid ruined my body and it'll be his body that I'll have. Anything short will make me a laughingstock back at the sect. Like you aren't already a laughingstock. A grand ethereal stage expert got his head popped by a profound heaven pup is the joke of the millennium. Getting revenge won't ever change that. This damn snake is the shame of our beast-taming sect. Fierce Tiger and Jackal snickered inside. But as fellow sect members, letting the enemy just waltz away would throw them in the same boat. Without further ado they chased, be it for the glory of their sect, or for personal vendetta, they went after the devilish Chuafan. 2 men and 1 snake soul flew away. Tuoba Tai's Han grew heavy. These elders have been duped again. It's a lure. From Chuafan's movements, it's clear that this was premeditated. From the start he has targeted our aces, getting them out of the picture before letting the armies fight. But they're weaker in that regard, Tuoba Lufeng said. Tuoba Taizhan spoke with wisdom, the lesser of 2 evils. Their army may be on the disadvantage, but it is far better than letting the ethereal stage experts turn the battlefield into a killing field. That is to say, Chuafan has even more plans. Tuoba Taizhan drifted off with a frown. Han Tiama exclaimed, Brother Taizhan, you mean Chuafan is not only luring them but also going to trap them? Correct, to trap the elders they have to be lured first. I fear that their fate is already sealed. Tuoba Taizhan sighed. They say not to push a cornered enemy. Yet these elders. But they're all in the ethereal stage, with anything beneath a 7th grade array turned moot. What kind of snare could hold them? Tuoba Lufeng asked. Tuoba Taizhan shook his head. Chuafan exceeds all expectations with his countless tricks. Did any of us imagine he'd be ruining Elder Shi's body? Everyone faltered, recalling Elder Shi turning into a snake in his rage. Chuafan was outstanding in his skills and devices. Anything was possible with him around. Lord Father, what do we do? Help them. No. Tuoba Taizhan shot him down. Better finish this war fast. Chuafan wants to end our experts then deal with us. Before he comes back we will throw everything we have into Windgaze City. He will deal with the elders but I will take the city. It will be our victory. All-out assault. Capture Windgaze City. Tuoba Taizhan barked orders and his generals bowed. Yes, Commander. Within 15 minutes the Chuanrong army was in formation, moving like a black swarm towards Windgaze City. The 8 wolf wardens led their divisions to lay a powerful siege. The 4 tigers of Tianyu turned to the 1,000,000 men behind them and sighed. 600,000 of them were veterans of Dugu army while the rest were draftees, no different from a rabble. The odds were way stacked against them yet they showed no concern, not when everything went according to a certain plan. Just like Marshall said, Tuoba Taizhan is out to end it fast. The 8 wolf wardens are all sent into battle too, an all-out assault. Dugufeng smiled. Dugulin nodded and turned to the grumbling Duguhua. Since we'll be the bait, not worthy of our skills, third brother sure is sour, ha ha ha. When has it ever been like this? We're about to go to war with the enemy commander yet we can't even take a swing? Marshal is so unfair. Duguhua huffed and stomped. Dugufeng stated true, it's not like Marshal is old fifth steward for nothing. He has to make him look good. Besides, if there's one team that can cut through the enemy like butter, it's that creepy division. With our men, we won't even get past the wardens. Just the mention of their fifth brother had Duguhua whining again. Each soldier should be placed according to their skills. Giving me that division would allow it to reach its true potential, unlike under fifth. Can't Marshal see this simple truth? Dad isn't blind, he just doesn't care about you. Gu Santong chomped out an ingredient to the side, bored. Dad is a nepotist. Who are you to him, that he would just give you those hard refined war puppets? Duguhua didn't take it well. Gu Santong, are you any different? You're his son, tough and strong. So why is it that he chose the elders over you in dealing with those ethereal stage experts? Because you're that much of a burden. Dad asked me to look after you. Never to leave you out of my sight. Afraid that you worthless generals need babysitting. That's why I'm stuck here instead of wasting that friggin' old foggy who messed with Dad. Gu Santong fumed. Dugufeng intervened before Duguhua blew a gasket. Now we're all on the same side, following Marshal's orders. Moreover, Gu Santong is right, the enemy is sending specialists after our heads. Take a look. The others followed Dugufeng's finger, and found a fleeting black mist among the Chuanrong army. Shadow guards. Chapter 489 Assault. Chapter 489 Assault. With the shadow guard so close, the others mustn't be far behind. Dugufeng stood up and shouted, "Prepare for battle. Sir Gu Santong, please provide assistance." Gu Santong nodded, munching on his herb. That's what Dad told me anyway. Dugufeng turned stern and the four brothers led their divisions out of the city. This imbalanced battle made even these seasoned tigers feel the pressure. Tuoba Lufeng was acting as the stand-in commander, directing the wolf wardens when he noticed the million men and tigers coming out. It made no sense for them to abandon the advantage of the walls, even without a raise, and opt for a frontal assault. He understood their plan soon enough. Only outside the city walls would the army of 4 tigers be able to gather to form a wedge and strike into the heart of his camp. Zhuofan is cocky, throwing everything in a single risky move. We aren't good with soldier formations, but we have the spiritual beasts to give you a world of hurt. Tuoba Lufeng ordered, Steel Arm Wolf and Ironback Wolf, move in front to block them. Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf will punch through behind the two. Throw this battle into chaos once Tianyu's imperial family's support breaks their formation. Understood. The messenger left. The fanned-out wolves changed formation. Ironback Wolf and Steel Arm Wolf's divisions combined, forming a wall in front of Tuoba Lufeng. Dugufeng laughed. Give your all charge. With their numbers short, their best bet was to finish this battle quickly. They had to brave the danger of a trap to get to the commander and hold him hostage. Roar! The fearless shouts of soldiers shook the sky. At the same time, hundreds of black trails flitted over with eerie movements. They entered their formation and mowed down these men with their black blades. Their barely formed formation collapsed in an instant. Way above them, Sima Hui bombed them with chess pieces. They whistled through the air and left behind craters and mournful cries. Thousands fell with every strike. Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf, who were on standby, laughed with glee. Without Dugujantian, they're nothing. Look how easily their formation fell. The invincible army will fall even without our help. Howling Wind Wolf laughed. Blood Shadow Wolf snickered. That Marshal's mind is only filled with machinations, yet is lacking in the military department, ha ha ha. When it comes to wars, what's important is to use your full strength in a clash. Getting tangled up with court politics and cloak and daggers every day makes you weak in directing soldiers. No matter how shrewd he is, Dugu army will die in his hands. Only Tuoba Lufeng knew just how intricate Zhuofan's thinking was. So much so that he felt it was all going too easy here. Strange, was Dugu army ever this weak? They're not up to par with the average Chuanrong soldiers. With a reverberating shout, a red flash landed on the battlefield. A 7-year-old kid. Sima Hui shook all over and even dropped his readied pieces. Senile old man, rather than play chess all day back at the capital, you've come here to fight? Gu Santong shone red as he punched at the sky. The space warped. Sima Hui felt his vision swim as the relentless force slammed into him. Sima Hui didn't even have the time to make a peep. All he could do was bring out his yuan qi. Bam! The ringing explosion made Sima Hui spill blood. His clothes a mess as he barreled through the air, bleeding from every inch of his body. Invincible scamp Gu Santong's punch was that of a monster. Not even the monochrome chess sage could take a hit. Snorting, Gu Santong grinned, turning to the shadow guards. With his uncanny speed, he punched every one of them into a pulp, even if they weren't exactly human. The power of that cutesy fist warped the space so much that he didn't even need soul power to finish the job. And now that he had vaulting Kuimping as his guide, he used that ridiculous strength to its utmost potential. The shadow guards didn't stand a chance. Gu Santong ran to and fro nailing shadows at every corner. When Gu Santong touched down, his tiny fist was soaked in blood, his sharp eyes staring down Ironback Wolf and Steel Arm Wolf's divisions. Du Gufeng shouted, "The bastards are dead, attack!" Roar! His brothers gathered over, leading 600,000 men to form a new formation. Unlike before, these soldiers were of different metal, hardened and tough. They were the remnants of Dugu army. Charge! Du Gufeng shouted. With the tigers in the lead, the army's yuan qi fused. The soldiers formed a sharp blade that could cut any shield. Ironback Wolf and Steel Arm Wolf jerked, finding this formation a much worse enemy than the previous larger one they had formed. This is Dugu army. The previous one was bait. Tuoba Lufeng shouted. Dugu army was right on top of the two enemy divisions when Gu Santong timed his fist just right. Soaring fist, splitting heaven. Roar! His attack and Dugu army's aura combined. Ironback Wolf and Steel Arm Wolf felt the heavens dropping on them. The sheer might of this attack robbed the air from their lungs and stopped their hearts. Boom! The million men of the two wolves were flung all over the place, with many in pieces, as the tigers cut through them like paper. Ironback Wolf and Steel Arm Wolf puked blood. They had to thank their formation for still being alive. Although now the divisions were crippled. 30% died from impact while 60% lay in critical condition. This is impossible. Tuoba Lufeng was slack-jawed. Dugu army didn't have such strength even at full power. How did it break two wolf divisions? Tuoba Lufeng glanced at the flying kid and gulped. Invincible scamp Gu Santong. He alone broke 1,000,000 soldiers. Someone call the experts to get rid of the kid or we're finished. Tuoba Lufeng ordered. The four tigers were too close though, coming up on Blood Shadow Wolf and Howling Wind Wolf's divisions. Gu Santong was flying in circles overhead. The two wolves gulped, paling from fear. No matter how strong they were in the past, Dugu army was never such a freak. Not a minute ago they had mocked Zhuofan's military ignorance, being only good at schemes. How ironic that a scheme was what had two divisions routed. The tigers would need but moments to charge through to their young commander and run them over. As for stopping them, well, they didn't even dream of it. They were attack divisions, best used while the enemy was busy pushing back Steel Arm Wolf and Ironback Wolf. They weren't built for defense. It was then that three men flew over before Gu Santong. Chapter 490. Immemorial Sages vs. Qilin. Chapter 490. Immemorial Sages vs. Qilin. You again. Gu Santong spat. You rotten sack of meat, you've always pushed me around. Last time I let you off, yet you still dare to come back. Is it your time to die? Covered in black robes with black mist around him, Shadow King was back. On his side were Gu Santong's old acquaintances from 300 years ago, Zhuge Chongfeng's old elders. The two were filled with bloodlust. Shadow King grinned. Gu Santong, the only reason I'm here is because this time I've come prepared. Look around you, they're all old friends of yours. Recognize them? Gu Santong snorted. I don't have time to waste on nameless juniors. Quite the mouth you have. We fought so hard 300 years ago, and after all this time the noble Sir Gu acting as divine dragon must have forgotten his friends of old. One mocked. Gu Santong stared back. You were there? Wait, all of them are dead, so how are you two men still alive? Men. Shadow King's hatred burned hotter. Since you forgot, allow me to refresh your memory. These two fought alongside me back then and faked death when the moment was right. Why else would you still have the gall to saunter all over the place? Shadow King's anger targeted these two sages. The two were bashful, sighing. Shadow King, our team of 3 hadn't formed yet. Showing up would have only worked against us. So we decided to buy some time to train our teamwork for the next time we fought Gu Santong. That's why we faked death. You ran, but what about me? Shadow King glared. Heaven Sage sighed. Shadow King, you've always been true and loyal. You'd never agree with our plan and even fight our attempt. That's why we didn't say anything. You left me for dead. Shadow King gnashed his teeth. It's because I thought you were dead that I resorted to stake it all on taking Gu Santong's 10 punches. It's what got me these creepy ghoulish threads. Aren't we the same? After the battle, Gu Santong broke our spirit root, dashing our hopes for the ethereal stage and sealing our lifespan. We could only drag our miserable existences as crippled husks. How's that any worse than me? You're still human. As a spirit puppet, I am stuck at the same spot forever. I even have to eat souls to survive, for crying out loud. I'm neither man nor shade, but an abomination. Shadow King and the sages were digging up ancient history, and any baggage it carried. Gu Santong just stood there with a frown as he considered the two's past. Tuoba Lufeng was fuming below, wishing for nothing more than to go up there and slap some sense into them. You're here as backup, not to quarrel. Is this how Tianyu's experts act? Have some sense of duty, for God's sake. By the time you finish your spat, my men will be gone. Gu Santong had heard enough to ring some bells. Oh, you're not dead. There's still some lively ones from back then. How embarrassing. And you even fake death. That's the same as duping me. You 3 rotten cheaters deserve nothing but death. The 3 turned to the kid, now dawning on them why they were here in the first place, and their faces sank. Heaven and Earth sages, let's leave the rancor for now and get back to our mission. It's time we end what we started 300 years ago. Shadow King squinted. The 2 nodded. Our teamwork is perfect and the kid will make a perfect target. Gu Santong grinned. I had wiped the floor with you then, and I'll do the same to you now. Who knows? As they say, time changes everything. And we had 3 centuries on our side to prepare for the day we'll crush you. We've trained our teamwork for this moment. Heaven Sage exploded with power, releasing blinding light. While Earth Sage turned into a black light, the opposite, and gave off an eerie and dangerous vibe. Under shocked gazes, the 2 lights blended together, forming a huge spinning taiji. Gu Santong's instinct told him something was off about that sucking circle. The 2 had yet to finish their combo, and he was already feeling danger. The 2 actually have an ace. Dad said the first to strike has the advantage. I'll break their move before they complete it. Gu Santong's fist glowed red and he punched. The 2 sages only reached out and the 2 lights formed a vortex, blocking the attack. Gu Santong's attack faded away, chipping away at its power. My punch! Gu Santong widened his eyes. Heaven Sage laughed. The great invincible scamp. Gu Santong actually struck first. So you do sense you're no match for us. Why else would you do it? As if I just got tired of your prattle. Gu Santong stuck his chin out and barked. I'll send you 3 to the hereafter just like I did 300 years ago. Humph, angry about being found out. The 2 sages sneered, sending the black and white vortex at Gu Santong. Gu Santong jerked, finding the attack was already upon him. The vortex turned into black and white chains tightening around him. The chains were weird to be able to withstand his strength. No amount of struggle helped. Heaven Sage grinned. Save it. Our yin-yang chains use the breath of the world feeding into each other, and are tied to the world itself. Nothing will ever get out of them. Unless you can break the world, ha ha ha. The other two laughed at Gu Santong's expense. The prick's day had finally come. We're finally free of that insufferable torment, ha. Their minds drifted out to all kinds of regrets Gu Santong was having. When the kid burned red and bellowed, "I am soaring Qilin, tearing the world couldn't be easier." Roar! Gu Santong's roar shook the heavens. Origin form Qilin. Gu Santong exploded in a scarlet light and his tiny and adorable face warped. His arms grew, scales covered his skin and his power multiplied. Gu Santong turned from a cute child into a sacred beast. Even when chained, his aura drove fear into the sages. For God's sake, he's a freak through and through. Heaven Sage gasped as the beast's every movement contained unmeasurable power, snapping a chain every time. The entire battlefield was shell-shocked while looking at the beast. Zhua Fan's son, the one who wrecked Tianyu centuries ago, invincible scamp Gu Santong, was in fact a wild beast. Chapter 491 Tri-Barrier. Chapter 491 Tri-Barrier. Human sage, don't just stand there. We can't hold on for much longer. Heaven and Earth sages were bearing through the strain with clenched teeth and twisted expressions. Shadow King was peachy on the sidelines, not lifting a finger. Shadow King mocked, "This would have never happened in the first place, if we had dealt with him together 3 centuries ago." Shadow King was really thinking of backstabbing these two, but one thing was clear, only together could they handle Gu Santong for the bigger picture. Shadow King made a sign and a golden chain shot towards the yin yang chains, making them shine as well. The chains grew tougher and Gu Santong could only wail in distress, unable to break his binds even as Qilin. Heaven, Earth and Man Tri-Barrier. The 3 sages made the same sign. Du Gufeng looked up with a frown. He was freaked out by Gu Santong's form as much as the next guy, but he was their ally, their support. With Gu Santong sealed up, his army's wings were cut off. Charging forward now would only net them heavy casualties. Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf perked up. Gu Santong's loss was their gain. With their numerical advantage, they could easily hold the 600,000 Dugu army back. "Come, 4 tigers of Tianyu." Blood Shadow Wolf laughed. Du Gufeng shouted, "Howling Wind Wolf, Blood Shadow Wolf, get on the damn side. Make me." Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf bit back. Boom! The 2 armies ran into each other. But without their buff, Dugu army's advance fell. Though not to a complete halt, their formation gave them enough strength to push on against the fierce opposition. The enemy fell back 1 step at a time, getting on the brink of collapsing. The wolves were amazed by how just half of Dugu army could wield so much power as to push their 1,000,000 men back. They were this close to crumbling and letting them have a clear way for the leader. It was then that a piercing cry resounded. Du Gufeng watched the sky fill with thousands of golden arrows, falling down like rain. "It's sky-piercing Wolf's division." Du Gufeng cried, "Change formation. Shields up, mountain formation." Whoosh! Dugu army halted and took a defensive stance. Their Yuan Qi turned into an impenetrable wall. Just in time to welcome the rain of arrows clanking on their shields. Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf's morale lifted. Shabi was timely with his aid. "Divine archers, get ready for another volley." Shabi ordered and his men opened the floodgates. Dugu army could only duck under their shields and hold on against the constant hammering. When the attack finally let up, Dugu army found Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf teaming up with Sky-Piercing Wolf. By surrounding them, advancing now was out of the question. Du Gufeng sighed. The risk was high with this move. It was either win or lose. Flanked as we are, this is where we will meet our end. "Brother, what do we do?" Du Gulin asked. Du Gufeng shook his head. "Our task is done. We just have to hold our ground and keep their men busy. That is the role of bait. Fifth holds the true force." Du Gufeng looked towards Tuoba Tieshan's tent with a smile. In Windgaze City, the house lords were watching Dugu army get pinned down, Gu Santong bound and were worried with anxiety. "Pavilion Lord Long, what do we do? We have to save them or everyone in the city will die." Grandmother said. Long Yifi sighed. "And how do you suppose we do that? Get Gu Santong freed up? We don't have the manpower. Support the army?" How do we do that when we've always operated alone? We will be stuck there with them. All we can do is wait for Zhuo Fan. The others sighed. Oh. Xie Xiaofeng shook his head. Did we ever stop to think the day would come when we, the mighty leaders of 7 houses of boundless prestige, will end up so powerless? We are reduced to nothing more than spectators in the battle that will decide our fates. Ha ha. Now I see just how weak the house lords really are. The others echoed his sentiment with a strained chuckle. On Li Jingtian's side, the elders were running for their lives. Steward Zhua, they don't seem to be buying it. Maybe they don't care about us and are now slaughtering Windgaze City. No. Zhuo Fan was resolute. I broke his meat suit and the guy must be boiling mad. The other 2 will be with him for appearance's sake, to save their names. They're overconfident in their ethereal stage power, thinking in their thick heads that revenge couldn't be easier. They'll never go with feints to draw us out by attacking Windgaze City. It's too much of a pain when they don't have to. Qiu Yanhai grumbled. Steward Zhua. Next time if a twisted trick like honey trap comes to your mind, could you please leave my biddy out of it? Ha ha, you think I wanted to do that? She's a victim of circumstances. Zhuo Fan said. The plan was to draw the experts away by pissing them off, and give the 4 tigers of Tianyu some breathing room. As to how we go about doing that, it all came down to the adversary. It's not my fault that a pervert showed up, even kissing me with that foul mouth of his. So why are you so upset? No one touched your biddy. In fact, I'm the victim here. The others laughed. Qiu Yanhai bowed. Many thanks, Steward Zhua, for saving my biddy. That's what teammates do. Don't mind it, Elder Qiu. Ha. Zhuo Fan waved him off. A bellow came from behind them. You rotten son of a bitch, don't move a muscle. I'll flay you alive, burn your soul and take that meat sack for my own. Turning around, they found 2 men and 1 python coming over at full speed. Li Jingtian turned to Zhuo Fan. The steward looked below and pointed at a valley. That's where we land. Elder Li, someone's expecting us. Sure thing. Li Jingtian nodded and flew with the couple behind him. The 4 of them landed in this picturesque landscape, surrounded by mountains on all sides. The blissful sound of a stream and the forest animals made it paradise. The 3 ethereal stage experts touched down as well. Obscene Snake snorted. An ethereal stage cultivator, some radiant stage experts and a puny profound heaven cultivator think of running from us? Well, think again. Who said we're running? Think we're scared, is that it? Zhuo Fan mocked with an obnoxious tone. We just recalled that we had prior engagements and had to visit some friends. What are you doing coming with us? Hi, cut the bull. Talk trash all you want, but at the end of the day, I'll peel your skin and wear you like a suit. Back up a little. Zhuo Fan cut him off and sneered. Here I thought only the white mustache Foggy was slow, but now it seems you aren't so bright yourself. How would you look if you wore me without skin? Didn't think of that, did you? Ugh. The python burned with fury, looking lost all over the place. He was only spitting insults, not minding the contradictions. What would I ever do with a skinned body? Chapter 492. Impermanence 5. Chapter 492. Impermanence 5. Holding his head, Elder whose savage eyes glared at Obscene Snake. Are you here to kill him or to chat up with him? What are you doing getting tongue-tied in crap? You're dragging the intellect of our whole sect through the mud. Elder who roared at Obscene Snake and Jackal. All he got was a huff and puff from them, focusing their angry glares on Zhuo Fan. It was all this piece of crap's fault for them ending like this. One in a sorry state and the other without a body. Their reputation as an ethereal stage expert aside, he had now attacked another angle, their brains. Obscene Snake snarled, rotten punk, I will crack your skin, take your bones and torture you. I'll make you suffer until you beg for death. Did you give up on possessing me? Zhuo Fan grinned. Obscene Snake's tail was whistling in rage. None of your goddamn business. Just remember, I will make your life a living hell. You will live a long and painful life. Hi. Zhuo Fan merely shook his head. Dumbass. Boy, are these people the target? An aged voice resounded. The elders jerked around but saw nothing. Fear creeped into their hearts for how much weaker they were compared to the owner of this voice. The three felt perhaps more than a little uneasy. Did we just get played again? We, the great ethereal stage experts? An expert ambush. But Tianyu has nobody stronger than us. Even Li Jingtian's case took 1,000 years to pass, yet now there's another ethereal stage expert in hiding? The three gulped, their common sense defeated. Zhuofan sneered at them, cupping his hands. I thank the elder for his support. They are all here, please begin. Fine. The aged voice came again. From all around the mountains, space twisted until 5 aged robes came into view, having the group surrounded. Every single one of them had a handicap. One with atrophied ears, one was blind, one had a cut-off nose and one with the tied lips, even though his voice still came out. The last one was looking quite healthy, if one ignored his other crippled senses. He didn't even have a tongue, only groaning as he talked. Following the trend, the 5 men each missed sensory organs, yet through a twisted logic still had the sense that the other guys were missing. Even Li Jingtian twitched a bit after looking at the creepy 5. While the 3 elders were downright stumped, even falling back in fear. Fierce Tiger's teeth chattered. Demon Scheming Sect's Impermanence 5, what are you doing here? Last I checked, Demon Scheming Sect is one of Tianyu Empire's 3 guardian sections. Going about our domain is only natural. That being said, I can't help but wonder what's Beast Taming Sect doing here? Are you here to mess with our disciples? For elders simply meditated on a rock, with only the blind, deaf and sealed-mouth elder speaking. The terror was growing within the 3 beast elders, evident by their sweat. Fierce Tiger wiped his brow and bowed. Elders, we had been taunted by some insidious lowlife. We have never touched any of your great sect's disciples. Never, is it? Then what was that flaying our disciple and taking his body all about? My ears are frail, but I can hear just fine. The same one spoke. The trio were panicking now, crying at Zhuofan. You're a demon scheming sect disciple. Yep, in the making. Zhuofan shrugged. The trio shook like leaves and hatred exploded within. Oh, not out of regret, but with malice directed at their intelligence reports. They did it on purpose. How else could they not find out that our target is with the demon scheming sect? What was supposed to be a simple in-and-out job, beneath the prying eyes of Tianyu's guardian sects, had now become a task of targeting demon scheming sect's disciple. They were as smooth as a lummox. Tianyu's emperor in particular. You fool, going around targeting demon scheming sect's men with your pranks? Is life too good for you? The 3 elders were close to bawling. Impermanence 5 are veterans. We should have had an easy time, but we just came here and have already hit a wall? Fierce Tiger bowed at once. Elders, we did not know the kid was yours. We ask that you overlook our transgressions out of the goodness of your hearts. Ha ha ha, what's the point of sect rules if a simple apology would suffice? You messed with our disciple and think you can walk away just like that? Who do you take the demon scheming sect for? The same elder taunted. As tears welled up in their eyes, Obscene Snake had to show his dissatisfaction. Elders, just look at us. It's him who has messed with us. He is still alive and kicking even after taking out my body. Ha ha ha. A profound heaven kid destroyed a great ethereal stage expert's body. What a shame. And now you have the nerve to own up to it? The way I see it, death will look much better on you. The elder mocked. The other 4 elders shook a little, each expressing joy in their own creepy way. Fierce Tiger barked. Obscene Snake, are you so damn blind? This is a trap. Demon Scheming Sect is splitting hairs just to fish for leverage. We can beg all we want, but they won't ever let us go. Ha ha ha. Everyone is a product of their environment. You haven't been around this kid for long, yet you already have the kid's brain rubbing off on you, if only a little. I think congratulations are in order. The elder mocked. Fierce Tiger turned savage. Impermanence 5, you're famous in Western lands, but you're not much different from us. Don't push it or we'll take you down with us. Now I really want to see just how 3 nobodies would go about doing that. Haha, the elder shot back. Kid, take your men away before they tie us down. Yes, elder. Zhuofan bowed, giving Li Jingtian a look. The four flew away but didn't go too far, watching from the sidelines at the edge of the valley. A fight of this degree would do the fresh ethereal stage Li Jingtian and the power couple a world of good. Qiu Yanhai frowned at the still-sitting elders. Steward Zhua, what's the deal with them? Their senses are wilted, but not by accident. Ha ha ha, true. It came about from their cultivation method. Shuafan explained, it is a combination art, vicissitudes art. It is said a year of vicissitudes, a time of blossoms and a time of wilting. When the year turns, vicissitudes begin anew. This is the natural cycle. Everything in this world rises and falls in a never-ending cycle. These 5 elders emulate it through their sensory organs. But the cycle can sometimes thrive and sometimes degrade. To compensate for this glaring weakness, they each gave up all their sensory organs except one. Thus together they will only thrive. To the point that many experts stronger than them have fallen to their combination art. The elders are named after the sensory organ they picked. Take that talking elder for instance, he is Elder Shi because of his tongue. The others nodded, with Xue Qingjian found their creepy looks not at all inviting. But they're so damn ugly. No matter how great the art is, I'll never practice it. The others laughed. Shuafan continued, Sister Xue, you're underestimating the vicissitudes art. Not anyone can train in it. The least you should be ready for is to give up your face, but you also have to join 4 others in using it. While each of them has a sense still working, it is at the group's discretion to use it. And therein lies the kicker, you can't control it. In reply to their shock, Shuafan smiled, anyway, there are 3 reckless fools trying it out. You best peel your eyes to a true ethereal stage expert. Chapter 493. Extreme Might. Chapter 493 Extreme Might. Oh, Elite Coder. Impermanence 5, you're seasoned experts but we're no pushovers either. Must we do this? Push us hard enough and we'll stoop to anything. Yeah, we're so ruthless that we even scare ourselves. Elder who watched the enemy with tense and sweaty brow, though still talked tough in the hopes of scaring them. The other 2 threw in a helping hand. The 5 elders sat still like before, letting these 3 talk to the walls. Elder She began after a while, ha ha ha, there's a saying, all bark and no bite. I gotta say, the more you hoot, the more relieved I feel. Xue Qingjian giggled, Steward Zhua, that guy's just like you. Throwing biting remarks. Of course, why do you think he kept his tongue and earned his nickname, Elder Shi? Ha ha, Zhuafan chuckled. The tiger, wolf and snake were fuming. Like pretty much anyone else, these 3 were fierce believers of death before dishonor. Now that Elder Shi had taunted and mocked them, he was wiping the floor with their name as even ethereal stage experts. It came as no surprise when Elder Hu exploded with power as a golden-eyed tiger image appeared around him. The sky darkened, the wind howled like a tiger on the prowl. Li Jingtian shook, the roar infecting him. It was many times stronger than the one he felt when fighting Fierce Tiger. Only in danger would Fierce Tiger show his true power, in order to fight for his life. Elder Lang had a mighty wolf around him, baring his claws and fangs, growling at the 5 elders with bloodshot eyes. As for the runt of the litter, Obscene Snake, powering up proved a tiny bit difficult without a body. In fact, he was decaying as time went by. He'd better get a meat suit fast before a breeze blew him over. No pressure though, as an ethereal stage expert soul could survive for a long time. Then again, the weaker the soul got, the harder it would be to get a new body. Impermanence 5 just sat there, chilling with no intent of attacking or leaving, just stalling. The 3 elders were clamoring to get away, though none tried to leave by force, just struggling only to find themselves stuck. Elder Hu snapped first under the pressure and flew into a rage. Jackal and Obscene Snake followed. The 5 elders acted right away as well, though only in the form of one elder. Whoosh! The elder who could open his mouth appeared in front of them. The trio were exuberant. No matter how much fear they had for the 5, just one elder presented them with a high chance of survival. Of course they'd take it. 3 souls joined together, the auras combining into a might that could crush mountains. Even Li Jingtian felt fear. Their combined power came from how well they knew each other, how perfectly in tune they were. While the elder just stood there, opening his mouth only when the attack was on top of him to release a dreadful howl. Ah! Bam! A ripple like a sonic boom ripped apart the attack like paper. Hu and Lang puffed blood from the searing headache and their soul forms vanished. While Obscene Snake had it worse, his already faint form was much closer to fading away. This attack had sapped his soul energy. Up! The three groaned, falling on the ground like bricks, while the attacking elder returned to his spot. Li Jingtian's side was bug-eyed. A mere shout routed 3 grand ethereal stage experts' combo soul attack. No matter how great the gap in strength, it should never be this great. They were all in the ethereal stage at the end. Just like how divine dragons didn't have much of an upper hand against plain radiant stage experts. Shuafan smiled. It's too soon to be shocked. That was just a warm-up. Elder Ko merely opened his mouth, that's all. What? They all cried out. What will a full-blown attack look like then? Shuafan explained, the greatest difference between ethereal stage and radiant stage is soul form. They all rely on their souls. Using anything less means sparring. What Elder Ko used was the power of the vicissitudes art trained to its peak, a skill called Demon Echo. The others are no different. Elder Shi's beguiling, Elder Yan's deluding sight, Elder Air's omnipresent hearing, Elder Bai's uncanny smell. Each of them is just as amazing. Together they cover their glaring weaknesses, never waning and ever thriving flawless. No one would take them on unless they had an unfair advantage. This is the demon scheming sect's personal elders, Impermanence 5's power. They nodded but then asked Steward Shua, what do you mean by personal elders? Ha ha ha, rumor has it that the high venerables of demon scheming sect are lofty positions that the disciples have endless respect for. But only the oldest are worthy of such title, and can even grow to have the power to remove the sect leader. That makes having personal guards natural, hence they are called personal elders. People who should have been the sect's venerables, have now become high venerables' personal guards, thus reduced to mere elders. Even as their power goes beyond a mere venerable. Li Jingtian gave a thumbs up. And you just asked for their help, Steward Zhua? Are you sure you're going to the demon scheming sect as a disciple and not as a venerable? Zhua Fan chuckled. This is all courtesy of demon scheming sect's sect leader, Xia Wuyue. Maybe he values me just that much. Be that as it may, by sending these 5, his intentions are loud and clear. The way I see it, these 5 would find it a cinch to deal with 30 of these 3 experts. The others were so shocked that they just bobbed their heads. The 3 in question crawled to their feet at long last. No matter how much they'd heard of the 5's prowess, it still topped their imagination. Just one of them had handled the 3 of them like children. Wiping the blood on his mouth, Elder Hu cupped his hands. Impermanence 5's vicissitudes formation lives up to its name. I accept my defeat. Though it's not much of a contest, ganging up on the few of us. Ha ha ha, what are you spouting? Vicissitudes formation? We haven't even used it. That was all Elder Ko. As for ganging up on you, it's your side outnumbering him. But I get it, trying to talk your way out of it. A shame that's the most useless approach when it comes to demonic cultivators like us. While righteous cultivators like you would go the extra mile for stuff like honor and whatever, for us the end justifies the means. A loss won't change no matter how few or many are attacking. It's all about strength. Elder Shi didn't buy into the taunt. Fierce Tiger's face fell. Damn unreasonable demonic cultivators. They don't give a hoot about their names, wanting our lives even in a 5 against 1. Against righteous cultivators, they'd already be ashamed by now, going for a fair fight instead. Elder Shi mocked, since you're so keen on seeing our formation, though unworthy, we're happy to make an exception, for your ignorant eyes. Oh no, we'd like our eyes to be ignorant, thank you. Elder Hu waved around. The trio together couldn't even deal with one of them. While all 5 would kill them with a flick, it was an overkill, plain as day. Like a 9-foot-tall mean thug towering a 3-year-old. A slap would do him in, but the thug just had to take the kid through the full course of his arsenal. The 3 lamented their fates. Impermanence 5 couldn't care less. They began with hand signs, clearly deciding to torture these 3 bastards good. Zhuafan's eyes lit up like a good audience. Impermanence 5's formation was a novelty, rarely observed. To witness it was a chance that appeared once in a blue moon. Especially for Li Jingtian and company, the peak of the ethereal stage would be a good demonstration of this stage's true potential. Chapter 494. Soul Form. Chapter 494 Soul Form. Ripples came out of the 5 elders one after the other, and the sky above them turned a bright green. It enveloped the whole valley just like a barrier. The beast elders were tense and scared. It was Elder who decided to act and bellowed as he rushed to the skies to leave this damn place. 3 meters, that was how far he got. Green light flashed on him and held him steady. Fierce Tiger was aware of his predicament and unleashed every ounce of power in his being. With a roar, a golden tiger came out of him, soaring away. Elder Hu, don't you want your body? Elder Lang cried. All that work pumping iron to get to this stage. It was a shame just letting it go. And now he'd have to do it all over again with his next body. So despite his love for the chiseled body, desperate times called for desperate measures. While Elder Hu's mind was set, using his body as a lure to get his soul to survive, Elder Lang was overcome by mixed emotions. Fierce Tiger never gave them a hint of his plan and just left them there. The 5 were sure to address this oversight the second time. Elder Hu was the sole exception. Who could blame him? Any attempt to let his pals in on his plan would be foiled. Omnipresent hearing was just that amazing, picking up the tiniest sounds, even transmission. Not that Elder Lang knew any of this. As for Obscene Snake, he was outraged, since this plan would never have worked for him in the first place. He had no shell to shed, being a soul and all. The snake and the wolf stared slack-jawed at the sky. With Fierce Tiger moments away from leaving the valley and getting his freedom, the leftover felt forlorn. Just then green vines shot from beneath and coiled Fierce Tiger tightly like a bow-wrapped gift. Fierce Tiger roared, an exercise in futility. The green vines got him back down to earth one step at a time. Ha ha ha, we'd have no name to speak of if even you 3 nobodies could escape us, Elder She mocked. The others nodded, sitting on their rock and doing what felt like light work of catching him. Shi and Lang's faces fell. If even Fierce Tiger's surprise plan failed, what did that mean for them? Yet another ripple covered the green valley and thousands of vines came from all sides at the 2. They had no hope at all of fighting back. Any struggle was just wasted energy, tightened among the glowing vines. Fierce Tiger roared in his feeble attempts, feeling himself growing weaker. The tiger soul was slowly fading as well, while the green glow on the vines only got stronger. The same happened to Obscene Snake. Without a body to shield him, his soul was taking the brunt. Elder Lang was shaking in his boots, his body drying up like a raisin and the vines pulling his soul out into the open, awaiting the same fate. They were officially in hell, experiencing a world of pain and endless remorse. Elders, have mercy. We'll never come near your precious disciples again. There's nothing personal between us, there'll be no revenge. I beg of you to let us go. We will never forget this kindness. Spare us, elders. The 3 whined across the whole valley in a sappy and tearful voice, but the 5 elders were like rocks. Li Jingtian's side knew the 5 elders were way better than the 3, but not by this degree. They didn't even move and the 3 were already dying. How are they same-stage cultivators? The least you can do is twitch a finger. Qiu Yanhai said in shock. Steward Zhua, what are those things? Is it a grand skill of theirs from cultivating? That's their soul, Zhuofan said. Soul? Was the unanimous question. In the ethereal stage, the soul takes shape and can be molded into any form through cultivation methods. Like those 3, they trained in a method that made their soul animals. Elder Li should be a black dragon, because of the wraith art he used to achieve advancement. Zhuofan explained, while Impermanence 5 have the vicissitudes art and have combined their strengths, this made their souls not the vines, but that green glow you see covering the valley and sealing this place, the vicissitudes world. They have the control of every root, every blade of grass at their fingertips, thriving and waning, translating into their enemies' flourishing or decaying states. Taking away another's life is what they are best at. With this lesson and practical demonstration, They came to the obvious conclusion that in the ethereal stage, the soul's strength ultimately decides victory. Xue Qingjian said, Steward Xue, what about mine and Geezer's souls? What will they be like? Xue Fan surmised, Sister Xue and Elder Qiu train in fire and water arts, so you ought to become fire and water, in constant growth. Better than those three? Xue Qingjian lit up. Xue Fan shook his head. It means no set form, like an illusion, though I can't say for sure. We'll just have to see it first. If those three animals were tough, they'd be breaking away by now. The soul can take any shape in the ethereal stage, each with its own advantage, all depending on their cultivation. They all nodded. The three soul beasts' pleadings stopped at last, their voices cut. It was now a matter of time before their souls died. Elder She took out a gourd and with a flick, the vines threw the tamed pets inside. Putting the cork on, Elder She stashed the gourd and the green glow faded with another sign from the 5 elders. Xue Fan and the others went to them and bowed. Thank you for everything, elders. However, I didn't understand something. Why did you let them live as prisoners? Ha ha ha, this is a sect matter, Junior. Killing them is easy, as well as missing out on a huge harvest. We'd rather take them to the sect leader first and let him decide their fate. Elder She spoke. Xue Fan nodded. Xia Weihua wants to stir things up, I see, and to take it out on beast taming sect. I reckon he'll reap a plenty. What will that make of the elder's support, him helping me or me helping him? Elder She looked hard at Xue Fan and nodded. You've got quite the brain, Junior. I see why the sect leader likes you and sent us over. Though keep it in mind to show him some courtesy. Sect leader is no saint either. Thank you for the reminder. I will keep that in mind. Xue Fan bowed. The elders nodded. Since that is all, we'll be returning. I will handle the rest. Thank you for all you have done, elders. Xue Fan bowed and they flew away. Li Jingtian muttered, nice guys, those seniors. Unlike any demonic cultivator I've ever seen. There are plenty of freaks of nature around. But that doesn't mean they're all savage and twisted. Many just walk their own path and care not for others. Because of this, they're lumped in with demonic cultivators. These 5 hardly talk with anyone else beside themselves. Their shrewdness isn't too sharp. They're the closest thing to a saint, as far as demonic cultivators go. Xue Fan explained. He looked towards Windgaze City and shouted, now we just have to win this battle and everything will fall in place. Chapter 495. All your base are belong to us. Chapter 495. All your base are belong to us. On the battlefield, the elite remnants of Dugu army with its tigers were going all out to hold back 3 wolf wardens and their massive army of 1,000,000 men. Blood Shadow Wolf snickered and shouted, Tigers, you have my full respect for your valor and for not losing your head in panic. In my name as Blood Shadow Wolf, I promise the commander will take you in. Just surrender. Dream on, we are Dugu Army's 4 tiger generals. We don't surrender to the likes of savages. Dugu Feng snorted. Howling Wind Wolf mocked. Your lord threw you to the wolves, so why do you still insist on fighting? Our commander cherishes talent. Join us and your army with you at its helm will win us all the battles. Your future will be glorious. Why must you throw it all away? And for what, that twisted emperor of yours? Is he worth dying for? Chuanrong and Tianyu's emperor's deal was just that, business. It had no clause saying that they had to like the guy for his foul schemes. It worked against him in fact, making them admire Dugu Army's valor instead. It went without saying, when the situation called for it, the Chuanrong army would rather flip these intrepid warriors to their side. A shame that the one thing standing in their way was the same element that had made the Dugu army invincible for all these years, their resolve and undying loyalty. Marshall had fallen at the emperor's underhanded attack, but if there was one thing these men couldn't do, it was to become traitors. Howling Wind Wolf, Blood Shadow Wolf, save your breath. We will defend our home and every soul in it, to our dying breaths. Tianyu isn't the land, it is its people. Dugu Feng shouted. Dugu army echoed his will. Even when surrounded, they held strong like true warriors. The 3 wolves nodded. Such fine men, a darn shame too. The wolves gave the signal. Sky-piercing wolf shouted, for tigers of Tianyu, Today is the day we'll end you and give you a proper burial. Much appreciated, Gufeng laughed. They were mere bait in this battle, but with death lurking at every turn, the brothers had made peace with it. The wolves were hesitating. Fighting their rivals for so many years got them to understand their character. But a soldier's duty was above sympathy and individual will, and they had to cut down their enemies without remorse. Crush them, the wolves ordered while the 4 tigers of Tianyu got ready for a 3-pronged assault. The heavy and heroic mood broke suddenly due to a wail in the forest. The flames reached the heavens. The wolves cried, "It's the commanding tent. An ambush." Ha ha, 5th brother made his move. Dugufeng laughed. The wolves shouted, "You had someone go after our base? Your entire army is trapped. What other men are there to make a sudden strike?" He never saw that coming, did you? We have one more division, led by the 5th tiger of Tianyu, the Flying Tiger Army. We're just bait. Marshall figured out that you're out for a quick strike going all out. So we baited you and you bought it, leaving the 5th brother free to attack your commanding tent. To capture an enemy, first take their head, ha ha ha. Dugufeng laughed and the wolves exploded in rage. The full might of the 8 wolf wardens was here, leaving the commanding tent in solitude and defenseless. Going where the fire burned hottest, Luo Yunhai led his steel war puppets, cutting through the remnants like butter. With their capacity as freaks, Luo Yunhai found that a formation at this point was overkill. Charging was enough to mow the enemy down. They were an unstoppable killing machine. Luo Yunhai wasn't quite happy though. He knew Zhuo Fan was using this war to establish his position, a cinch with this ridiculous army, but it was so easy that it made the wind feel flat. All those years he spent in Dugu army learning formations, tactics, maneuvers and counters were flushed down the drain. With an army like this, they acted like a locust plague, tearing everything to shreds and leaving only a mess behind. It mowed down even the likes of Tuoba Tieshan's personal guards. No order, no tactic, just head-on attack like a deranged murderous fanatic. It finally dawned on him as to why Zhuo Fan kept saying power trumps everything. Young master, there are no more enemies. All that's left is the commanding tent. We await your orders. A peak radiant stage war puppet bowed. Luo Yunhai muttered, "With your strength, just go in there and grab him. What are you asking me for?" "Young master, it's Steward Zhuo's will. Take the commander yourself, sir, and your name will spread. It will be on everyone's lips and in their hearts." Brother Zhuo is so thoughtful. Even though this achievement brings me no joy. Luo Yunhai shook his head and walked to Tuoba Tieshan's tent. The place was surrounded by war puppets. Luo Yunhai walked in to see a lone stalwart man, sitting in the high seat without fear or anxiety. Saluting, Luo Yunhai spoke, "I've long since heard Godfather say that Commander is his adversary for life. Today I can attest to that. But now I've taken your camp. You've lost, so I will have to ask you to come with me." Ha ha ha. Where did this egotistical brat come from? Want to beat my Chuanrong army and take me down? You have another thing coming. Luo Yunhai stared at his back. "You're not Tuoba Taizhan." "Of course not." Swinging around, it was just some youth in the commander's robe. "Commander knew about your side's weak position. The only way to win was by taking him out. You've been had, ha ha ha." "Young master, there are enemy soldiers crawling all over the place. We're surrounded." A shout came from outside. Luo Yunhai nodded and sighed, just like Big Brother Zhuo said. The first plan only had a 10% chance of success. We'll just switch to plan B and see if the old guy is confident enough to show up. Time to pay those brothers of mine a visit, ha ha ha. Why are you so calm? The fake commander jerked. Luo Yunhai grinned. Unrest has never helped anyone. To get to Tuoba Taizhan, we have exhausted everything to anticipate anything. In any case, all I need is his location and Flying Tiger Army will get him in under a minute, ha ha ha. Luo Yunhai left a stunned fake commander behind. "Why don't you kill me? I'm ready for you to take my head." "Why kill a nobody?" Just like Big Brother Zhuo said. "You can't stop me, so it makes no difference." Luo Yunhai's last laugh echoed in the youth's ears. He contemplated before nodding. The mettle of a great general. Luo Yunhai signaled for the men to follow him out of the camp. He then heard a laughter approaching him. Savage Wolf met him with his division bursting with bloodthirst. Ha ha, damn punk, you took our camp and now you want to just walk out? Where do you think this place is? Jalahan was bursting with power. Though a peak radiant stage war puppet blocked the shockwave. Luo Yunhai snickered. It's the enemy camp, of course. What else could it be? A scenic route. Cocky little prick, talking smack even as your death nears. You're just like Zhuo Fan. Jalahan pointed behind him. See these? Do you think a few 100,000 men can't wipe the floor with you in minutes? Luo Yunhai made a mock copy of his gesture. See this flying tiger army? Do you think it can't flatten you in seconds? Jalahan was stumped. Are all Zhuo Fan's underlings brash and obnoxious? He looked at the enemy once again but snorted in the end. Rube whelp, that's just 100,000 men, while I have 500,000 men with me. Why are you so cocky? Give up for the sake of both our men and your puny life. TCH, you're the dingleberry. You'll see soon enough that numbers aren't everything. Tell me something I don't know. The greatest army Tianyu has ever seen has always been the Dugu army. Those men behind you might be the same, but they still won't top my 500,000 elites. With Luo Yunhai still acting tough, Jalahan resorted to intimidation. The kid wasn't buying it, grinning from ear to ear. Then you're just narrow-minded. Chapter 496. A War Puppet's Might. Chapter 496. A War Puppet's Might. Formation. Let's show this savage wolf just how wrong he is. Luo Yunhai shouted. The war puppets moved into the formation they had practiced for a short couple of months. The awkwardness was still there, but the foundation was steady as each soldier was an expert by himself. The sky was saturated with raw power, its volatile nature stabbing Jalahan and his men into backing away. Jalahan was speechless and sweat poured down on him. What the hell kind of division is this? How is it so monstrous? They're only 100,000 men, yet are proving to be more than enough to offset the numerical disadvantage. It's like fighting 1,000,000 veterans. He was better off not knowing. This display of power had him on the verge of wetting himself. 5,000 radiant stage experts, close to 40,000 profound heaven experts, and the rest were in the bone-tempering stage. Such a lineup had long since stopped being a band of freaks and monsters. It was downright cheating. Bone-tempering experts were the cream of an army to begin with. Profound heaven experts would be generals rarer than rare, while radiant stage experts would be gods of war, unstoppable high generals. That was where the 8 wolf wardens and 4 tigers of Tianyu stood. Your common soldier would only ever be in the qi condensation stage. An army's power had nothing to do with strength per se, but relied on formations, combining their meager efforts into a well-oiled killing machine. But the sight of close to 50,000 men being made up of radiant stage and profound heaven experts had this veteran of countless bloody battles and gruesome slaughters soiling himself. Dude, don't tease me. Since when did the world have such an army? Who in their right mind accepts becoming a common soldier with that power in them? A venerable or an elder has a better future. The likes of those joining the war effort were the great minority, and that was only because they were raised in a military environment. But this division here is an abomination. Finding further explanation unnecessary thanks to Jalahan's dumb look, Luo Yunhai grinned. Savage wolf, see that? This is the flying tiger army that our dear Marshal Zhuo has trained personally and gave to me to command. Do you mind taking it for a spin? Smiley face, the character for train here has multiple meanings, including refining. So think of it as refined by fire. While in this army's case it is quite literal. Zhuo Fan's soldiers. Jalahan's mouth fell, not liking his situation one bit. Damn you, Zhuo Fan. Keep your freakiness to yourself, don't spread it around. How did he train them? And how the hell am I supposed to win? Taking a deep breath to gather a semblance of reason, he shouted, fall back. Like a good wolf he led by example, taking flight first. The Chuanrong soldiers were still out of it. The sight of the savage and brash great General Jalahan fleeing in panic was a first for them. Moments later they followed suit. For even the general to abandon ship, It only went to show that the enemy was far above their station. This had never happened to the Chuanrong army before, and by God, was it embarrassing. Luo Yunhai smiled and shouted, "A team of 100 Radiant stage experts is to go get me that savage wolf. Crush the rest." "Yes, sir." With a brief salute they got to work. Like demons from hell, Luo Yunhai's men dove into the savage wolf's division. And all they had was but a crushing advantage in terms of cultivation to initiate the culling. The sky sang with the mournful cries of the defeated. Savage Wolf lost half his men in a jiffy. Though the fleeing general had a big part to play, the division had lost the will to hold their formation. Not that it would have made much of a difference. The war puppets would still cut through them. Jalahan sped like a wild beast, an exercise in futility against Radiant stage experts. They still caught up. Jalahan was devastated. These experts weren't just many in numbers, they even had wings. How was he supposed to even escape? "Rotten piece of filth, Zhuofan, how filthy rich are you? Did you feed them money as training?" There was no way out. Jalahan sighed at the sky, finding heaven against him. What should have been an easy job laying in wait for rats to swarm the camp, those little rats turned on him like tigers. Now he'd be chewed down to nothing. He should have let someone else take this job. Hindsight never was much help to anyone, not in his position at least. All that was left for him was to go down in a blaze of glory. Jalahan exploded with power. "I am one of the 8 wolf wardens, my strength divine, tearing at spiritual beasts for as long as I can remember, and the best warrior in Chuanrong. Come and get me." His audience chuckled with a playful look. Zhuofan had refined these war puppets. Besides the soul, every single cell had gone through inhuman refining. "Let's see you tear steel." One war puppet shot towards him. Jalahan grabbed him and pulled. Crack! The snapping of bones was music to his ears. When teammates saw one of them getting torn apart, they'd be wrecked with fear, thinking they'd be next. No matter how many they were, the panic would leave room for error and a way out. But his smile was short-lived, disillusioned with his plan. His arms hung powerless from his shoulders. That snapping sound had come from his arms. Jalahan watched him with shock. "Dude, you're a body cultivating expert." "Never done it in my life. This steel body is courtesy of Steward Zhua to all of us. All that raw power won't do you good here. You won't be tearing anything." He laughed. Jalahan was dumbstruck, watching the 100 men with an ashen face. The Grand Numero Uno Chuanrong warrior just got kicked 100 paces back in Tianyu. Scratch that, 100,000. Jalahan made such a funny face, like a kicked puppy. "Is Luo clan a realm of freaks? Why are you all so damn abnormal?" The others laughed in pride. It was finally their turn to mess with others. This is the feeling of strength. They sealed Jalahan's cultivation, making him captive. Back at the battlefield, the 3 wolves watched their camp with worry. The wails and cries weren't helping either. Though it did bring a smile to the tigers. "Howling Wind Wolf, leave it to us and go save Commander," Zhibi said. Howling Wind Wolf nodded, just as he heard Dugufeng's mockery. "Too little too late. But by all means, go for it. You'll just find your dear Commander Tauba in Fifth's chains. You'll only be making it easier for us going there to surrender. This battle is our win. Don't bet on it." The wolves turned towards the voice in shock. To the commander. Men made way for the incoming Slaughter Wolf's division. Next to him was a man in a deputy's clothes. Taking off his helmet, the Grand Commander of the Chuanrong army revealed his location. Around him were Tauba Liener and his guards. "Tuoba Taizhan, so that's where you are," Dugufeng cried. Tuoba Taizhan nodded in pride. "I've studied Zhuofan's style and know he is good at using tricks. And since you're at a disadvantage, the only way to win is by taking the head. That being said, I laid an ambush in my place at the camp. And just like I figured, you went for it." Dugufeng fell silent. Zhibi and the other 2 were lost. Slaughter Wolf explained. The deployment of all 8 wolf wardens was a ruse. Commander and young miss had been by my side, while the young master was the stand-in to draw your attention. While Jalahan's division was fake, he was in fact waiting to spring the trap on the camp. Everything went just like Commander anticipated. This way their strength will fall, and taking Windgaze City will be even easier. This explanation shed light on the situation while filling the wardens with utmost respect for Tuoba Taizhan. It was then that a flash of fire covered the sky, unleashing a monumental explosion and adding its own particular light to the battlefield. Chapter 497, Total Victory. Chapter 497, Total Victory. Tuoba Taizhan frowned at the flaming corona and a bad feeling overcame him. Just what are you planning? Is that an ambush? Ha ha ha, the few you see here are the only ones that can fight. What ambush? Then, Tuoba Taizhan looked Dugufeng dead in the eye. Dugufeng's mouth perked up. Ha ha, Tuoba Taizhan, you fell for it. There's no getting out of this one. Tuoba Taizhan squinted. Forgive this old man for not making sense of anything you just said. Tuoba Taizhan, just like you said, we're short on manpower, robbed of the option to meet you in open battle. Victory can only come by taking the leader. No matter how important the main camp is, the commander had to be safe at all times to lead the army. Marshal Zhou figured you'd ditch the camp and hide among your troops. Dugufeng snorted. Tuoba Taizhan gasped. What's the point of striking my camp then? Bait. Dugufeng laughed. In Marshal's immortal words, all big guys like to work it, either openly or hidden. Whether we stormed the stand-in commander's camp or Fifth went for it, both would achieve their purpose as bait, to flush you out and have you explain your grand plan in a glorious fashion. Ha ha ha. Tuoba Taizhan flushed and coughed. Explaining the enemy's ploy was one of the rare joys of a commander, filling him with pride. Yet to use such a glaring weakness had the old man embarrassed. I'm not one to be haughty, just a bit prideful. Is that so bad? Tuoba Taizhan cooled and asked, what's the point of it all, just to take a bite out of me? Hardly, though it did do the trick. Getting Sir to stick out his neck. Dugufeng grinned. Tuoba Taizhan shuddered and his instinct screamed at him. Slaughter Wolf mocked. What good will knowing do? I don't see any men you can spare to take him out, do you? Not one extra. They're all you see. Dugufeng's confidence never dropped though. Provided the fifth brother knows your location, he'll be sure to come killing. All that's left is to surrender. Fifth? Humph, you only sent him? Slaughter Wolf sneered. Is your memory on the fritz? Commander just said that Jalahan is there. He's not coming back. Even if by some miracle he does slip away, by the time he gets here the commander will be gone, to say nothing of us still being around. Yet you are still sticking to that preposterous notion that he'll even touch commander? Dugufeng showed a vague smile. Wanna bet? Fifth will come any second now with Jalahan in chains and you'll be soon to follow. There's no way one division holds so much power. That will be outrageous. Slaughter Wolf kept on looking down on them. A cry came just in time to cut him short. General W, what is that? And here he comes. Dugufeng grinned with his brothers. Slaughter Wolf's side stared with dumbfounded and goony looks. A black swarm was flying from the main camp right towards them. What were written off as birds? A closer look found them to be men with wings. This ruthless and savage division had no one else in the lead but Luo Yunhai. W, what the hell is this? Tuoba Taizhan didn't fare any better. Dugufeng felt generous today. That is the 100,000 strong Flying Tiger army our marshal trained himself, under Fifth's command. Flying Tiger army? As in really flying? Tuoba Taizhan was slack-jawed. For all his military career, he'd never heard or seen such a division. Dugu Zhantian did attain flight, through a desperate move, but it was short-lived and because of an art. Many soldiers died to fuel the Dragon Soul's skill. While these men each flew by themselves. An army has chi condensation experts as soldiers, bone-tempering experts as elites with a seldom profound heaven or radiant stage here and there. But when flying they'd leave their division. While half this team is made up of radiant stage and profound heaven stage experts and the rest are bone-tempering men with wings, truly a flying division. Their 100,000 can beat 1,000,000 without any problem. Commander Tauba. Let's see you get out of this one. Dugulin grinned at the Chuanrong. Slaughter Wolf blurted. Profound heaven and radiant stage experts make half of it? That means there's 50,000 experts? Oh. Tuoba Taizhan was speechless, his mind a wreck. He'd never come close to even considering the possibility that Zhuofan would pull something like this against him. He knew Zhuofan was shifty, outstanding, and a prick, but this was too much. No human could pull this off, not a normal one, that is. Tuoba Tieshan's decades of bloodshed on the cruel field of battle had put him face to face with countless opponents. But no one came close to the likes of Zhuofan. He was damn sure there wouldn't be a second either. He's not human. Tuoba Taizhan, give up. Luo Yunhai was on top of him with his men, their crushing aura choking the enemy. Slaughter Wolf brought his men to the front. Protect the commander. Slaughter Wolf Division, help me block him. Yes, sir. The men howled. Luo Yunhai shouted, formation, charge. Like a guillotine from the heavens, the two sides slammed into each other. Whoosh! Flying Tiger Army ran Slaughter Wolf's division through, killing close to 100,000 and maiming half. Slaughter Wolf himself didn't fare much better, trailing blood on his way to kiss the ground. Luo Yunhai's team just kept on going and going. The other wolves tensed. Slaughter Wolf was the strongest of them all, yet he couldn't do a thing. Looking back at their commander, they all knew they had to meet the enemy if they were to protect him. Sky-Piercing Wolf, Howling Wind Wolf, and Blood Shadow Wolf were the next to go. The three divisions fused into a mighty attack to meet the Flying Tiger Army's charge. Even behind the formation's aura, Luo Yunhai felt the pressure. Scatter! Luo Yunhai made prompt decisions. The three wolves hit nothing but air. Gather! Luo Yunhai was behind the wolves while the Flying Tiger Army was behind him, ready to attack. The wolves' morale hit rock bottom. They knew how to fight ground battles and could jump, if the situation demanded it. But switching formations wasn't done on the fly. While the Flying Tiger Army had free movement all around them, and could scatter and gather on a whim, the sudden strike from behind had driven them to the brink of despair. Whoosh! Flying Tiger Army's charge took down even more men this time. The wolves were flung into the air, out of this fight and out for the count. It was hardly an effort to reach Tuoba Taizhan. Looking at his distraught face, Luo Yunhai smiled. Speaking from above, Commander Tauba, you've lost. Surrender now. Tuoba Taizhan sighed and shouted, soldiers, stop fighting. The Chuanrong army has lost. Tuoba Taizhan choked on those words. Getting them out sapped him of every bit of strength, slumping to the ground. He had never known defeat, and now his first one had proved to be devastating. Tauba Lianer went to him in tears. Tuoba Lufeng, the stand-in commander, was every bit unwilling, but relented in the end. Everything was going like clockwork, until this freak team showed up, turning everything upside down. I'll say Zhuofan is shrewd, but pulling out this trick is a complete cheating, ha. Tuoba Lufeng mourned his fate. Chapter 498. End. Chapter 498 End. Outside Windgaze City, out of the million men drafted to fight the Chuanrong, barely any had survived. Tianyu had many cultivators, but on the field of battle anything could happen, stopping them from going all out. Lone wolves as they were, they easily fell under the might of Chuanrong's military discipline. These people were in chi condensation or bone tempering stage and were nothing more than cannon fodder. Zhuofan had no hope for cannon fodder, putting them in front of the enemy just to buy Windgaze City some time. The real winning move was executed by the four tigers and Luo Yunhai. Although now this cannon fodder was about to collapse. Windgaze City's gate was about to crumble any second because of the Chuanrong's siege. The house lords standing on the walls were waiting for any sign of Zhuofan. All they had was hope. What's Steward Zhua doing? The city's about to fall. It was at that moment that Chuanrong's commander declared surrender. The fighting stopped right away. The Chuanrong were stumped knowing they had over 2 million men's advantage, and were this close to taking the city. Commander's orders left them lost and confused. While the Luo clan's recruits were so touched that they started shedding tears of joy, being able to keep their lives intact. Their next hope was for a reward, hugging a big shot and shooting through ranks. Mommy, that was tough. Crying sounds came from everywhere. Chuanrong were crying for losing and going home defeated, while the recruits were crying out of joy and their new lease on life. The house lords eased a breath, cheering at the victory. If not for seeing it with their own eyes, they'd never have believed that a ragtag bunch labeled an army could win against the likes of God of War that Dugu Zhantian fought for decades, the Chuanrong's elite army. It was like a dream come true. Steward Zhua is amazing, a miracle worker. The three sages saw the exuberant joy and the crushing sadness being played on everyone's faces and frowned. A commander like Tuoba Taizhan had lost. Lost to Zhua Fan, who was a newbie in the art of war. Human sage, what now? We haven't yet dealt with this little freak. Holding his gesture, Heaven Sage had a tight expression, watching the furious Gu Santong. Shadow King hesitated. If it were anyone else, our tri-barrier would have had him sapped of strength and they would be dead by now. But this brat is no human to still be so lively. For the love of God, are you that dumb to not be able to see the truth staring you in the face? Does that thing look like a human to know? Earth Sage glared. Shadow King was annoyed. Why not? Forget it. We'll settle our debts with him next time. With us stuck like we are, the Luo clansmen will come for us. Just where in the blazes did Fang Chubai run off to? I never saw him once during this battle. He'd be able to at least buy us some time. The other sages nodded. Let's take the barrier down and leave. We'll think of something else the next time we deal with the freak. Heaven Sage proposed. While they reached a decision, Gu Santong was still raging. You no good two-bit pond scum. Once I get out of here, I'll trample you to pieces. The trio jerked back to reality, with Earth Sage saying, let's not do that for now. If we take the barrier down, how will we shake him off our tail? Right at that moment, the tri-barrier suddenly lost its golden glow. And right away, Gu Santong started snapping the chains binding him like twigs. Heaven and Earth Sages cried out. In their confusion and shock, they turned to the missing Shadow King for answers. The bastard made a run for it. What are you doing, human sage? They shouted at him. Shadow King grinned at them. With the barrier gone, the freak will kill us. It's better if you stall him while I get a head start. You twisted goddamn son of a bitch. You sold us out. The two sages roared at the betrayal. Shadow King perked up. Ha ha ha, you've betrayed me once before as well. This seems only fair. And floored it away, leaving those suckers holding the barrier. Dropping the barrier now would have Gu Santong go to town on them. Just looking at him would tell you all about his rage. Yet by the sounds of those snapping chains, Gu Santong's freedom was but a matter of time. Not to mention the Luo clan was bound to come over any minute now, and then they'd truly be doomed. They were dead no matter how they swung it. The sadness and hatred from having such a fate left them unable to choose. A new voice sounded which seemed to help. Hey you two, weren't you on Prime Minister Zhuge's side? So you're the Emperor's men. His Majesty sure is insidious. No wonder Zhuge Chongfeng had such a cruel fate. The two sages swung around and paled. Zhua Fan. Shouldn't you be dead at the hands of those ethereal stage experts? It's them who are finished. Zhua Fan put on a sadistic smile. Revving up the fear the two sages were feeling many times over. If even those three ethereal experts are toast, what'll happen to us? Gu Santong twisted his huge body, roaring, Dad, just in time. Kill those bastards. These chains hurt. Giving an assuring wave, Zhua Fan returned to the two oldies. A couple of adults picking on my kid when there's no supervision? Are you taking advantage of my compassionate and merciful heart? These questions drove one painful nail after another into the sages. Not one of you two is normal. It's you who is picking on us. And how the hell are you compassionate? Stop faking sainthood. With Zhua Fan here, they knew their plan to finish off Gu Santong was a bust. With a sigh, they entered the pits of despair. They relaxed their hands. Gu Santong laughed at his newfound freedom and stomped. Time to die. The two just stood there, welcoming it with no intention of resisting, resigned to their fates. Wait. Zhua Fan postponed their deaths. Gu Santong's hoof froze. What's up? Young Sanzi, you can't write off chaining you with such a light sentence. Feed them bloodworms. Let your dad handle it. Zhuofan's grin was about to split his face. Gu Santong lit up. Good point. Turning back to his childish self, father and son both grabbed a neck each and clutched. The sages had to open their jaws and cry. Zhuofan threw a bloodworm in. What the hell did you give us? Heaven Sage shouted. Zhuofan was vague. The good stuff. Zhuofan made a sign and the two folded from the gut-wrenching pain. Their eyes were red and were reduced to flopping on the ground in a cacophony of incomprehensible screams of agony. Gu Santong clapped, finally getting to dish out some payback. Zhuofan nodded at his cheerful kid. He had someone take the sages into custody as they returned victorious. Their news of this resounding and total victory spread all over Tianyu. Zhuofan and Luo clan's fame soared. Luo clan was hailed as the savior of Tianyu. Repelling an enemy invasion was the same as making one a nation's founding father. Not to mention Zhuofan had started this war on the pretense of helping his lord, demonstrating to everyone his loyalty towards Tianyu. Oblivious as the people were, the Chuanrong invasion was ushered in on a red carpet by the emperor himself, while Zhuofan's high-class act in defending his country was just a jab at his lord, shooting for the crown and throne. Moving on, Shadow King was speeding towards the imperial palace to report. But a loud roar from a huge black dragon blocked his path. He didn't even get a peep out, and was swallowed in one gulp. The black dragon flew back into Li Jingtun. The ethereal stage's soul shape. Amazing! Qiu Yanhai praised. Last time Shadow King had us on the defensive, but now Elder Li has finished him off in one shot. Such is the gap between stages. Li Jingtian grinned. That brings Steward's tasks to an end. All that's left is to settle it with the emperor. Chapter 499 Poisoned. Chapter 499 Poisoned. The servants ran to and fro in the imperial palace, hanging lamps and decorations for some big occasion. There was no big celebration though, since the sound of festivities never left the walls of the imperial palace. In the witching hour, the moon hung high in the sky and the imperial palace shone like daylight, revealing 4 people in the wide hall. The emperor seated on his throne, crown prince on the seat to his right, his largeness to his left, and Princess Yongning was seated further to the left. 2 generations of Yuan clan had gathered here for a family picture, while servants stood to the side at attention. Looking at his children, the aged emperor showed kindness. Today is my birthday. It is not as lively as the celebration I had last year, but it is peaceful. It's been too long since we sat together as a family. Imperial Father, may you live for millennia, to care for our nation and be carefree. It is my privilege to be here with you and just talk at leisure. Crown Prince bowed. Fatty followed while Yongning was still sour, flicking her head away. The emperor began. Crown Prince, I know you always go by the rules, but you are among family here. Can't you let go of those old pedantic and empty formalities? I obey the imperial father's order. Crown Prince bowed again. The emperor sighed. From the imperial power and imperial grief, even his own flesh and blood treated him like a stranger. By comparison, Yongning never had trouble crossing the line many times over with her cheerful nature. Only around her did this old emperor feel like a father should, spoiling his children rotten. He turned to the apple of his eye, not minding it one bit that she always went against him. Yongning, do you still blame me? It's been 6 months. Imperial Father, you brought invaders into our lands, harmed our people, ruined your image, and yet still think it was justified? Yongning rebutted. The emperor said, Yongning, to prevent the corrupt world from staining you, I have kept many things hidden from you. One thing you should always remember: everything I do it for you all, for the future of Yuan clan. Cough. The emperor's coughing fit earned Yongning's sympathy, but she toughed it out and refused to forgive her father. The emperor smiled at her worried gaze. He turned to gesture at the empty hall. Crown Prince Tsonger, do you recall my last jubilee? With outsiders, officials, and many more coming to show respect. So why is it so empty today? The two opted for silence. Isn't it obvious? With so many wars happening one after the other, the factions have all fallen. But coming from the emperor, this question ought to have a deeper meaning. Imperial Father, it is because Chuanrong holds us captive. Crown Prince bowed with a prideful smile. Holding a feast right now will be like declaring that we and Chuanrong are allied. This closed celebration is unworthy of Imperial Father, but you always have the grand scheme of things in mind. The emperor nodded. Crown Prince, you're always so thoughtful and careful in your analysis and affairs. I am relieved. Crown Prince's heart sank. The emperor's praise had a foreboding feeling. Shrewd or thoughtful is the same thing. Relieved? Ha, the slave handles everything while the lord merely orders. Imperial Father must mean. Crown Prince's eyes glinted. Songer, what do you think? The emperor asked. The fatty bowed. Imperial Father, I believe the court is barren as you've removed the rebels. To restore life and prosperity to the court and nation, we have to promote talents to benefit the people and bring back our former glory. The emperor nodded. Songer, you have good eyes. Good, ha ha ha. The emperor returned to his throne. Crown Prince's face was looking gloomier by the second. For God's sake, Imperial Father was testing our policies, not judging how we handle the situation. This was a serious lapse of judgment. Imperial Father must like the old third more now. Crown Prince pushed down the rancor, returning to his seat morosely. The emperor motioned for the feast to begin, having a nice family dinner. Everyone seemed happy except Yongning, choosing to ignore her traitorous father. The emperor still watched her with the same fond eyes. Cough. The violent cough turned the emperor pale. A servant rushed over with a bowl. Your Majesty, please take your medicine. The emperor drank it all. 1 second he felt better and the next he spurted black blood, with black mist hovering around his face. Poison! The emperor groaned. Fatty inspected with caution and Yongning was flustered, rushing to her dear father's side, tearing up. Imperial Father, why is there poison in the medicine? Fatty and Yongning glared at the servant, but the guy had lost it from fear and was about to soil himself. Poisoning the emperor was a capital offense. Of course he'd panic. A flat voice came. Imperial Father, you have gotten on in years and should pass down the mantle. I ask that you come to a decision. Crown Prince stood up with pride, brushing the non-existent dust off his shoulder. You! The emperor shook. This news was devastating. With his twisted smile finally out in the open, the Crown Prince admitted to patricide. It is me. I had someone slip poison in your medicine, a 7th grade poison. Once it sets in, there's no cure. Why, big brother? Why must you poison the Imperial Father? Yongning lamented. Fatty glared at him as well. Crown Prince mocked. Yongning, Imperial Father is right, you're too innocent. The less you know the better. I want to know. Tell me what possible reason drove you on the path to regicide and patricide. Yongning shouted. Crown Prince smirked. You really want to know? Fine, I'll tell you. You call this patricide and regicide. But has dear father ever seen me as a son? I am a mere pawn in his games. How can you speak of your Imperial Father like that? He may have brought invaders to his lands, but he never once treated you wrong. Yongning cried out, filled with disbelief. Crown Prince pointed at the poisoned emperor, his face dark. Ask him if he has never done it before. Yongning watched the disdain on the emperor's face. Oh? Do tell, Crown Prince, when have I done you wrong? Do you really want me to say it? Or is it to understand my thinking? Crown Prince sneered. Doesn't matter, I will explain. You made me the Crown Prince of this nation without any intention of handing the throne to me. I am just old Third Shield. Crown Prince flicked a hand at Fatty. The tubby's largeness wobbled in shock. The emperor said, Go on. Imperial Father, everyone covets the Crown Prince's position. You appointed me early on and had everyone's attention plastered on me so that Fatty will have an easy time filling his future role. Crown Prince squinted. The emperor is ruler supreme and is clear about every little thing happening in Tianyu. Over the decades, it was only the Fatty roaming the lands. You didn't seem to like him, giving him the worst tasks while you actually favored him the most. You alienated him to protect him. All the tasks you picked for him were to shape him for the throne. while the great crown prince was still stuck with a target on his back, drawing everyone's hostility, only to end up kicked to the curb at the end. Crown Prince's eyes were bloodshot. The other two were hateful and unwilling but still turned to the emperor stunned. Yet the emperor only stared back at the crown prince. Chapter 500, Good Son. Chapter 500, Good Son. Crown Prince, believe it or not, I have never, not once, abandoned you. The emperor spoke up. But all Crown Prince heard was the most outrageous joke ever, shaking his head. Never? You're still trying to fool me, even now? Your last jubilee made your choice painfully clear. You gave old second your men to keep the peace. You gave me a scepter, a symbol of power and fortune to do as I wished. But tell me, which crown prince in our entire dynasty could do as he wished? When have you, imperial father, ever managed to do so? It was clear as day that you never cared for this crown prince. And what did you say to the fatty? No reward. Humph, only the emperor doesn't need a reward in this world. Do you think I am dumb? Big brother, you've got it all wrong. How can you jump to conclusions over some jokes, and think that imperial father wants to throw you away? The innocent Yongning stared back at him as Fatty remained silent with his thoughts. The emperor sighed. Crown Prince, is this why you kept sending assassins after your third brother? What? Yongning cried. Big brother went after third brother too? Crown Prince grinned while the fatty's face widened. The emperor sighed. I've known it for years. Crown Prince has sent his men again and again. Even as I had him go to Windgaze City, miles away from the imperial capital, the killer was right behind him. And with the last jubilee, the attempts only intensified. Your brother never once mentioned this, but I'm sure he was aware. Isn't it true, Tsonger? Yes, imperial father. Fatty spoke with resolve. The emperor smiled. Why haven't you told me? All I had was no proof and empty words. Fatty shook his head. The emperor praised. A real man shows patience just like a monarch. Crown Prince, you said I favored your third brother and you're right. But ever stop to think as to why? You're a stickler for formality and quick to anger. When going after an adversary, either finish him off the first time or you might as well not try at all. In all of your frequent attempts these past years, not once have you prevailed. You are a sore disappointment. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth, face ashen. Yongning watched her father lost. What are you saying, imperial father? You would just let them kill each other? This is why I kept you in the dark. The throne is singular and the one to take it is the one to come out on top from the killings. He is the sole ruler of Tianyu, defender of the Yuan clan's domain. He sighed. I never could bear to watch the three brothers tear each other apart, but this is our fate, survival of the fittest. This will reveal the perfect candidate for the crown. Success is built on the bones of others by killing with impunity, while the throne is created on a mountain of corpses. The fatty nodded and Yongning was so overwhelmed that her tears never stopped. What kind of family is this? Father against son, son against father. Doesn't anyone have the slightest compassion? Clap. Crown Prince snickered. Imperial father, you make damn good sense. The sole survivor shall inherit the throne, which would be me. Since we're an understanding, imperial father, hurry up and make it happen. It should at least justify my assent. Ha ha ha, Crown Prince, when did I ever say you're fit for it? The Crown Prince spoke. Imperial father, you said it yourself. The last one to survive will be king. Now that I have dealt with everyone, even you, the throne belongs to me by right of heaven. I'm not finished. The emperor shook his head. Crown Prince, your methods are ruthless and had good timing, unlike your second brother. But you're just too fixed on your path, too narrow-minded to hold the weight of the lands on your shoulders. Not to mention your short gaze. Like I said, you can't see beyond your nose, unlike your third brother. What a load of crap. Why do I get the feeling that you're still testing our reactions, our policies? Crown Prince bristled. The emperor mocked. And that's where you are lacking. A ruler has his own reasoning, not jumping to conclusions about everyone's intentions. Following the monarch and going with the flow is how a lackey does it. An emperor needs to be firm, to have his own judgment, and you sorely lack in this department. Enough. You're breathing your last, so stop splitting hairs and give me Tianyu. Crown Prince flicked his hand. The Emperor smiled. Crown Prince, you're not worthy. Guards to me. 5 radiant stage men landed before the Emperor. Crown Prince was unfazed. Ha ha ha. You've spared nothing in getting rid of Zhuo Fan, sending even divine dragons and shadow guards. All that's left are the dregs. Men get them. Whoosh. Behind him were 10 radiant stage experts. The winner was obvious just from numbers alone. Although the Emperor kept his cool, attack. His guards went for it and Crown Prince's men reacted. The imperial court became a maelstrom of auras. Emperor's guard fought tooth and nail, even at a disadvantage, though they lasted only 15 minutes. Crown Prince grinned, his prize within sight. Yet the Emperor still had that unnerving calm. Songer Yongning, turn the dragon head on the throne's left armrest and take the tunnel out of the city. I've already placed the imperial seal inside. Just take it and flee to Commander Tauba. They should be on their way back from taking Windgaze City. Say you'll rescue the Emperor and he'll help you. The only way to get his share of Tianyu is by having the agreement signed with the seal. He has to help you. Weak as he was, the Emperor showed his mettle. The fatty was overwhelmed by complex emotions. Imperial Father. My time has come. I can only stall them. The Emperor smiled. Father. Yongning sobbed. Fatty saw the Emperor's loving gaze and his insides twisted with indecision. Just as 2 guards fell. The Emperor said puzzled, Songer, why aren't you going? You're not one to be so sensitive. Fatty spoke firmly, we don't need to go. Big brother can't win. The Emperor was taken aback. A white sword strike butted into the fight. Crown Prince's men lost their heads and spurted blood like fountains. Crown Prince panicked. A man in white, of impressive aura and holding a green jade flute floated there wrapped in green flickers. Feng Qiubai. Why, you're supposed to be gone. Imperial Father sent you with the Chuanrong. Crown Prince gulped, then flicked his head over to the Emperor. Is this another one of your plans? The Emperor was just as confused. Mr. Feng, I didn't call for you. I did. The stunned Emperor met Fatty's beady green eyes. This day is also the first time I've acted. Master wanted to lend me support for a while. The Emperor shook his head. Songer, I have read many people in my life, had the world at my fingertips, but you are the last one I ever expected to elude me. Songer, you're truly my one good son. The Emperor spoke heavily, whether from excitement or anger. Chapter 501 Winner. Chapter 501 Winner. Fatty avoided the Emperor's gaze. Father, didn't you say to do it right the first time or don't do it at all? Yes, the Emperor dulled. It was wonderful news that his son had surpassed him, but for the situation to devolve to this state had him forlorn. Among his sons, he knew them all inside and out, except Fatty. Not because he was blinded with fatherly love, but because the kid kept everything too close to the chest for years and years. There was nothing the Emperor could pick on to even make a rough sketch. Crown Prince's greed and hypocrisy, second son's impulsiveness, all were easy targets for his ploy. Only his youngest son never left anything out. Until the very last moment. The Emperor would welcome his first 2 sons' attacks with open arms, having contingencies in place of course, while his third son's move would come out of the blue for sure. You knew about the Crown Prince's poisoning trick? The Emperor sighed. Fatty nodded. I had planted someone in his circle, but didn't the Imperial Father know about it as well? With your cautious nature, the only way to get poisoned is if you let it happen by choice. What? Crown Prince and Yongning were shocked. The Emperor gave a bitter nod. I did know. But I was even more aware of how my body is waning one excruciating day after another. I realize that using Crown Prince's crimes today will be much better for paving your future. Crown Prince choked. Imperial Father, am I not your son? Why are you using me for him? It's not using you but simply guiding you. What happened today is because of your greedy nature. The Emperor snickered. You reap all you've sown. A saint is void of desire, though that is easier said than done. Fatty bowed. I shall take it to mind. No, it is I who should. The emperor said. The last topic was to give the crown prince one last chance. He just had to give me a proper response and I wouldn't have drank the poison. Would you have made the same choice, Tsonger? Fatty replied, success is built on the bones of others. No, I would not. I knew I made the right choice. Always strike true or never strike at all. Even if it is your kin that stops you, you shall crush them with the same impunity like anyone else. That's what makes you a ruler. The emperor praised. Crown Prince was bleeding inside. Princess Yongning watched it all with sightless eyes, before all coming back to her, and she raved, "You're insane, everyone's insane." She ran away in tears and bumped into someone's wide chest. As she moved past, the man grabbed her. "It's been so long, princess, but your feisty nature hasn't changed a bit." The imperial family frowned at the familiar tone. Yongning raised her cute face and welcoming her was Zhua Fan's trademark evil smile. Zhua Fan. Yongning jumped in his arms, crying for her life. The best steward beneath heaven froze there with a dumb look. Yun Shuang at his side was annoyed for some unknown reason, pulling at Yongning's clothes gently but firmly. "Yongning, what's wrong?" Yongning just hugged tighter and cried harder. The 4 tigers of Tianyu's mouth twitched. What's with Marshall always getting the girls? We're no less cooler than him. Just because his marshal title has the cool character inside, does that mean he's the catch? Luo Yunhai held his head high and rolled his eyes. At least my jealous sister isn't here to blow out. Only the elders took it in stride with a vague smile. Steward was a real Casanova, too much in fact. With the sobbing princess, Zhua Fan was so lost that he had no idea what to do with his hands. Sighing, he knocked her out with a precise blow to the neck. His entourage froze stiff. Steward Zhua, what are you doing? Li Jingtian asked. Zhua Fan handed Yongning over to the dumbstruck Yun Shuang with a shrug. She's just too distraught. This is the only way to cool her down. The hell? Everyone sported dark faces. Steward Zhua is just too crude. One should treat the fairer sex with compassion. That goes double for the princess. Not rough him up like you, sir. The 4 tigers of Tianyu cried dry tears. Why is it that a boorish brute gets the girls while we the handsome forget nada? Smiley face, the character for handsome and cool, can also mean general/commander. Yun Shuang took away her dear sister, but made sure to bore a hole into Zhua Fan with her eyes. Though for some unknown and mystical reason, she didn't hate him for it. In fact, she was perkier. At least Zhua Fan has no feelings for her. The scared witless servants woke up at Zhua Fan's call, and took her away while he strutted into the hall. The mastermind, Tianyu's emperor, soon came into sight. Time to end this. The emperor watched them come in with a stunned look. I've lost completely. Fatty watched Zhua Fan with a deep look. Ha ha ha, your majesty, we meet again. Zhua Fan saw the dark-faced emperor, poisoned obviously, and laughed. What's this, a family squabble? The men behind him chuckled. If this is a squabble, then why are their bodies around? I dare not think what a power play would be like. Ignoring his biting words, the emperor said, your arrival means Tuoba Tieshan's defeat. My divine dragons and shadow guard won't be returning either, right? Bingo. I for one never leave loose ends. Zhua Fan chuckled. The truth hurt no matter how much the emperor foresaw it. All he could do was lament. He took a long time to say, Zhua Fan, I know all about you and Luo clan. You didn't have the power to succeed, so how? Ha ha ha, it goes on to show in fact that you know next to nothing about me. Zhua Fan looked behind him at his men and they laughed too. Luo clan had been going about just as the emperor wanted, powerless to resist. Then Zhua Fan spent mere days in building 100,000-strong army of war puppets against Tuoba Tieshan's millions, while letting loose impermanence 5 on the beast-taming sex elders. Just these 2 aces alone had flipped the tables. Neither of them was a scenario the emperor could predict, no matter how much he brainstormed, or that Zhua Fan was with the demon scheming sect. That last one would have helped the emperor come to a totally different plan. In fact, it would have made him throw his plan out the window for that matter. But through ignorance he planned it all, directed it all, and then lost it all. Zhuofan's men knew everything, of course, and laughed it out like winners. Lacking the details but knowing the ending, told the emperor that Zhuofan had done something monumental to turn it around. And these were all steps Zhuofan took after knowing the board and its players. The emperor sighed. You had it all figured out right from the start, even my deal with Chuanrong, and made plans. Few people were in on it, and they were my most trusted aides. How did you know? Zhuofan put on a sadistic smile, pointing at Yun Shuang. Just like your majesty, when in doubt asked the high priest. Miss Shuanger is the help Yun Xuanji personally offered me. And with a little help from my fatebreaker self, I got to exploit everything, ha ha ha. Yun Shuang blushed, her mind going to a certain event. Chapter 502, Glorified. Chapter 502, Glorified. Parrish's eyes can only see fate's direction, not the details. I am fully aware of their shortcomings, and there's no way the stars would have revealed about me and Chuanrong having a deal. The emperor eyed Yun Shuang but shook his head. Zhuofan nodded. Right, Shuanger couldn't tell the facts, only whose fate went up, went down, went bust or struck gold, which was more than enough. Zhuofan grinned. The moment the Chuanrong delegation entered the imperial capital, they were at the top of their game since they came for their share. Regent Estate and Zhuge Chongfeng's readings showed growth as well, which was reasonable as well. It may be from being in cahoots with Chuanrong or Chuanrong's movements serving their purpose. And then there was the Luo clan's prediction, looking mighty flat, if I may say. Quite fair, since Chuanrong didn't come for us, but to give this cesspool a good whirl. And with Luo clan's shaky foundation, it affected us quite a bit. Although, Zhuofan turned his creepy smile over to the emperor. How come your majesty's fate spiked the moment Chuanrong were here? Higher than the other four even? This made no sense. Chuanrong and Tianyu are enemies. How can the first's arrival boost your majesty's fate? I'd never considered your shady deal, your majesty, since it was downright taboo. The slightest slip-up will have everyone in on it, and your power will be revoked. I had Shuanger watch the fates many times over to confirm it. By eliminating all rational possibilities, you arrive at the answer no matter how improbable it is. Your majesty, you just turned your back on everyone, making shady deals with Chuanrong. That's when all my planning started, and I had the elders dig a bunker to prepare to fight off Chuanrong's attack. Zhuofan trailed off. The emperor sighed. You're very smart. With Holy Maiden's help, this is the result. No need to patronize me, your majesty is the true genius here. Even though dogmatic, driving everyone away. Yun Xuanji, Duguzhantian, Zhuge Chongfeng, the list goes on. Zhuofan chuckled. Yun Shuang froze. What you mean, grandfather? Shuanger, I know old Yun's death has been torturing you. I said I'll get you revenge, but back then wasn't the right timing. Now I present you with the murderer, for you to take revenge yourself. Zhuofan continued. Isn't that right, your majesty? You had Yun Xuanji killed. What? Yun Shuang watched the listless man with red eyes. You. The emperor nodded. High priest was a valued minister for our nation, and me. I had confided in him many times, giving him too much information. He found out about my plan and worked against it. Even relying on Zhuofan. A betrayal that couldn't go unanswered. Yun clan works for the betterment of this world. At the founding of our empire, the ancestors must have thought of the people as well. But your majesty acted for his own selfish reasons, even bringing enemies into our lands, letting Chuanrong trample Tianyu's people. Sir Yun Xuanji would not stand for it. His only choice was to appeal to me in changing this future. Zhuofan sighed. With fate and luck, I fought back the tough Chuanrong army. The emperor let out a self-deprecating smile. His strongest ace had been thwarted. It went to show that heavens continued to look after its people. Yun Shuang's eyes burned, her fist tight, her anger spiking. Du Gufeng bowed. Miss Shuanger, you are not the only ones with a grievance against the emperor. I myself have some questions. Once it all comes to light, Miss Shuanger is free to end it. Yun Shuang nodded, bottling that raging torrent. Du Gufeng began. Your majesty, how did the Chuanrong's millions of soldiers just crossed over practically overnight and ambushed us? There's no way you could have hidden this from the Dugu army. Ha ha ha, even old Zhuge Changfeng could only sneak in 100,000 at most. There was no way for me to do it, not without catching two pillars' attention. The emperor turned. Zhuofan, you're smart. Can you answer it? Zhuofan squinted but laughed. National elemental stones. The emperor's eyes bugged out. Dugufeng was stunned. The national elemental stones used in the esoteric debate. The very same. National elemental stones are the best in moving troops and are under everyone's sight. Your Majesty used the esoteric debate as a cover to get them out of the imperial palace. And while in Beast King Mountain, I met a certain Chuanrong lass. They had to have been there to get the keys. And when esoteric debate ended, everyone would focus on the 7 noble houses while they slipped in, laying in wait. Zhuofan's explanation was like he was there. He turned towards the ever-silent Fang Qiubai. Sir Fang, you were in charge of these matters and should have been aware, right? Fang Qiubai nodded. Correct. Ha ha ha, I had underestimated you, Zhuofan. I see now why I lost it all. You knew everything. The emperor laughed with tears. Yet you were never worried as you tangled with the regent estate that I would set my sights on Windgaze City. Not one bit. Your Majesty had planned on using outsiders when the civil war was over, not a day sooner. Zhuofan was cocky. Chuanrong was Your Majesty's biggest ace and their delegation's location was the first place to strike. While you always egged Regent Estate and Luo Clan's war on, sending Dugu Army, Divine Dragons and Shadow King over to take our heads, it was all a cover. Your one true aim was to remove Dugu Zhantian and Zhuge Changfeng, your greatest ministers. Once the court was nice and clean, you'd start the campaign on the weakened Luo clan, easy pickings for the mighty Chuanrong army. The emperor stared at him. Then why didn't I move Dugu Zhantian to kill you all and settle this once and for all? Your Majesty knew Marshal Dugu best. He was loyal to a fault. He would have never agreed with your deal with Chuanrong. You feared his revolt, so after Zhuge Changfeng was out of the picture, before the news got out, you eliminated the Dugu army. You figured by that time, the Luo clan was but a handful of experts and overlooked us, thinking we'd be no trouble at all. Zhuofan sighed. Yet it was us who came out on top in the end, with none the wiser. The emperor had a dull look, taking time to come up with a reply. Steward Zhua is godlike. My defeat is justified. Giving the throne to Steward Zhua will be for a brighter future. Everyone was shocked, Fatty and Crown Prince included. With Zhuofan's shrewd nature and strong arm, no one in Tianyu could contend with his hegemony. The two's hearts were in their throat, waiting for the answer. Zhuofan shook his head. Your Majesty, this might be late to say, but I borrowed Demon Scheming Sect's men and owe them a big favor. I need to report to them in a few days. I can't be the emperor, not when I'll be returning God knows when. Demon Scheming Sect knows about this. That's great, ha ha ha. The emperor perked up. Songer, be very careful to not reach for more than you can grab when you are on the throne. You need to show gratitude whenever you're called Your Majesty. Zhuofan praised. Your Majesty sure is shrewd. Fine, since I and Fatty had a deal, he can walk up there. Hold it. The Crown Prince was flustered, offering his full service to the great Zhuofan. Steward Zhua, since Sir can't take the throne and has no intention of letting others take it, why not support me? I vow to do all your bidding. You will be the retired emperor. Zhuofan was the supreme winner here, with the title of emperor being at his discretion. And from Luo clan's stance, Crown Prince figured that no one else wanted the job. So he rushed to grab that big thick leg. Glancing over, Zhuofan mocked. You think it's that great fighting over a glorified empty chair? Sure is, totally. Get me on it and I'll do anything. Crown Prince bobbed his head. All he got were looks of contempt. Chapter 503. Assimilation. Chapter 503. Assimilation. Cough. With a violent coughing, Emperor spat dark blood. His voice was faint. Zhuofan, you're a smart man and know that even when choosing a puppet, it has to have some value. Crown Prince is narrow-minded. It's only a matter of time before he slips and throws everything into chaos. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan pondered. Crown Prince looked at the Emperor like he wanted to choke the dying old man. For God's sake, am I your son or what? I get that you won't give me the throne, but can you at least stay out of this when it's not your call who the next emperor is? Stop kicking. Just what did I ever do to you that you won't even let me be a puppet? Crown Prince blamed his fate to the point of crying. The emperor grinned. Crown Prince, it's not that I hate you. It's just that you'll fail at the job. At best you'd have been a muddled emperor. But now, with the situation calling for a puppet, one needs extreme caution. The slightest impulse might very well be the end of Yuan clan. What end? Is that how useless you think I am, old man? Crown Prince had had enough of his mockery, and went to the dying emperor to shake him in tears. Why doesn't Imperial Father ever believe that I can be a good emperor? The emperor's only reaction was to smile as his spoiled son spit like a dummy. Even as his life ebbed away, his smile never lost its brilliance. Imperial Father! Fatty shouted with a trembling lip. Crown Prince watched the familiar face, feeling a sudden sense of loss. He was ready for the emperor's death when he poisoned his father, yet experiencing it proved to be painful nonetheless. Shuafan watched it all with a cold eye. Fatty, you should handle your family's matters. In 2 days you'll sit on the throne. The others gave the passing emperor one last look before following Shuafan out. Crown Prince slumped to the ground, a mess of disappointment inside. Why was the Imperial Father like that? Shuafan was the same. Why did they choose you? Wiping the tears, Fatty's gaze hardened. Master, for Crown Prince's heinous crimes against our nation, patricide and regicide, seize him. Understood. Fong Choubai pointed and sword energy entered Crown Prince, knocking him out. Fatty still held on to his father's body, his eyes swimming in tears. As Shuafan exited the palace, Li Jingtian asked Steward Shua, was the emperor certain, even on his deathbed, that we'd be helping the Yuan clan ascend the throne, even as a puppet? Of course. This empire has 3 sects behind it. Shuafan huffed, and to keep them at its back, the empire has to keep handing over resources. Kicking Yuan clan off the throne for someone else will bring about unrest, be it willing or not, affecting the tribute to the sections. To keep Tianyu at peace, they must have the Yuan clan on display. But what the emperor did was against the 3 sects' bottom line. From the Chuanrong's confessions, the emperor would cede 1/10 of the lands, the one with the most spirit minds. It's the same as cutting at the empire's 3 guardian sects' interests. The 3 sects have lost all trust in the Yuan clan. They will find another party to be the true emperor while it remains a pawn. That's where we come in. Li Jingtian smiled. Does that mean the Luo clan will be the true emperor of Tianyu, and will control the lands? Of course. I turned the war to fight back the invaders into quite the buzz, adding to our fame. There's no one else like us in Tianyu. Becoming rulers is justified. The key is to take control of everything the imperial family had: spirit mines, military, commerce, and so on. With all of that in our grasp, we won't even need figureheads in court. Shuafan instructed. The Luo clan bobbed their heads in glee. From this day on, the empire is ours. There's also the task of reorganizing the Dugu army as our private army. It will be led by the 4 tigers of Tianyu, their generals. Shuafan turned to the grieving tigers and Yun Shuang. What's wrong with you? Yun Shuang sighed. When Godfather died, I vowed to take revenge. Now that all the enemies are gone, I have lost all the drive to hate and feel morose. The emperor is a sad man, giving his life for the imperial family, only for all his efforts to be in vain. Yeah, Dugu army vowed loyalty to his majesty as well. Who'd have thought we'd be betrayed yet fought in his name? Ha ha ha, a cruel irony. Dugu army sighed. The other tigers echoed his sentiment. Shuafan said, nitpicking bunch. Enemies are enemies and friends are friends. If your enemy lives on, are you content to watch your friends die? Nothing but a load of brainless fools. Shuafan flicked his hand and left. You go on. I have things to do. And was gone. Yun Shuang and the tigers cocked their heads. True. Anyone would sympathize with the emperor's cruel fate, but he was still an enemy. Recalling how he had their godfather killed had them gnash their teeth in hatred. The 5 saw Shuafan with more esteem. Shuafan is a wise man, his gaze always seeing the truth. Letting enemies roam free will get our friends killed. It will bring us more pain. Zhuofan turned to a dark building, where a man was waiting for him inside with a bow. Steward Zhuo, allow me to congratulate you on your complete victory. In grasping this nation and becoming its true ruler, the youth in gray robes paid his respects. Zhuofan smiled. I'll have to congratulate Brother Yuming as well for figuring it out and choosing my very glorious bridge. For your far sight. Your future is limitless, ha ha ha. Oh, you're too kind. I have Steward Zhuo to thank for his kind reminder, and for lighting up the murky darkness. You were right, I can't become a great mind cooped up in one place. I needed to elevate my condition to observe the powers that move across the board. Yuming's eyes lit up. Revenge for my master blinded me, while master had the house tying him down. Now without such weights dragging me down, I can roam the lands free, uncaring for favors and enmities, for gains and losses. My gaze can now see the horizon. Zhuofan nodded. You have grown to the ranks of Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng. I can now form new checks and balances inside the Luo clan. Does Steward Zhuo want me, Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wuchang to stand together? Yuming perked up. He knew Lung Wuchang was on Zhuofan's side and now he had come here for Zhuge Changfeng. This young mastermind had endless respect for his seniors. What he never expected was Zhuofan giving him such a lofty position inside the Luo clan, of the same rank as the other two. As for the future of Luo clan, he had no doubt whatsoever. Against Zhuofan's shifty mind, Imperial family and the 7 houses fell like a tower of cards, with Luo clan climbing over their bodies to its rightful place as the supreme lord of Tianyu. That will be the best stage for my skills. Yuming's heart jumped in joy. Take this first. Yuming took the bloodworm. Zhuofan nodded. Where is he? If you'd kindly follow me, Steward Zhuo. Yuming led the way. On the second floor, Zhuofan met an aged man laying in bed, Zhuge Changfeng. But with how stiff he looked, it gave the impression of him being dead. Zhuofan quirked an eyebrow and Yuming fed the old man a pill. With a light cough, Zhuge Changfeng woke up. Where am I? Prime Minister Zhuge. How has life treated you lately? Zhuofan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng frowned at Zhuofan and then noticed Yuming. He moved his gaze from one to another but the fog hadn't been uplifted. You too. What is this? Shouldn't I be dead? Chapter 504 Steward. Chapter 504 Steward. Dead. Zhuofan eyed Yuming. What is Prime Minister Zhuge talking about? Yuming explained. Steward Zhuo. The emperor sensed his time was coming and feared a world with Prime Minister Zhuge in it would stir the lands. He had me put Prime Minister Zhuge down. But since I had answered Steward Zhuo's call of wanting Prime Minister Zhuge, I had Prime Minister Zhuge fake death with a pill. Now safe and sound I gave the antidote. Zhuofan nodded. Zhuge Changfeng said, I see, Sir Yuming is with Steward Zhuo. What has happened? With His Majesty's cunning mind, there's no way he'd leave Yuming alive. The two laughed. He hasn't been on my side since last evening. His Majesty had no way of figuring out our connection either. All we had among us was a transaction. Zhuofan grinned. Yuming nodded. Before His Majesty's Jubilee, I and Steward Zhuo met, to my great benefit. In those times of anarchy, with everyone going for the throne, Steward Zhuo made me a promise. I had to do just 2 little things for him and he'd have me on board. No matter how much my future actions affected the Luo clan's interest afterwards, once he seized the world, I could use this promise to join the Luo clan, becoming the victor in this civil war. Zhuge Changfeng gave a thumbs up. Steward Zhuo, why didn't I think of that? Not only binding the opponent but enticing him as well. It will make roping others easier. And this method wasn't successful on just him, right? Just one other. Zhuofan shirked off the praise. I made promises with potential candidates. One is Yuming, the other being Lung Wuchang. What about me? Do I have no potential? Zhuge Changfeng's eyebrow shook. Zhuofan laughed. Prime Minister Sir has that aplenty, but in those times you were just another contender. Was I supposed to draw in a rival? That's like asking for it. Ha, quite true. Prime Minister Zhuge nodded. Yu Ming continued, Steward Zhua had me urge the second prince into a quarrel at the Jubilee, making up an excuse to leave the imperial capital to set everything up, while also instigating the war with everyone in passing. The other matter was egging on the second prince's rebellion, while he was fighting Regent Estate. Though there were many people asking me about this at the time, Regent Estate and Steward Zhua both wanted to use an attack on the court as a way to delay Dugu army, while the emperor used it to draw the prime minister out and take you down in one fell swoop by dumping the nation betrayer on your list of crimes. Oh, the rebellion had been this old man's greatest mistake. Let's not mention it. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. Zhua Fan and Yu Ming smiled. Yu Ming added, after these tasks, Steward Zhua presented me with an optional task, saving the prime minister from death. I didn't want to at first, afraid that the emperor would find out, but Steward Zhua is just too mean, setting his sights on Hell Valley as the first house to wipe out. That's like cutting my way out. Soon came the end of Regent Estate and I was only left with the imperial family and Luo clan. Of course I had to listen to both of them. Yu Ming eyed Zhua Fan with a bit of annoyance, yet the man had the same ineffable smile of a winner. Zhuge Changfeng asked in doubt, Steward Zhua, why do you show me such care? Ha ha ha. I respect Prime Minister's ability and wish to invite you to Luo clan. Zhua Fan cupped his hands. Zhuge Changfeng paused. What would Luo clan do with me when it has the invincible Steward Zhua? I will only become a burden to Steward Zhua. Prime Minister sir, I was able to see today only through some shady methods. But when it comes to governing Tianyu, Prime Minister takes the crown. Zhua Fan turned forlorn. To deal with Chuanrong and imperial family combined, I had to tough it out and make a request to the demon scheming sect, thus owing them. To return the favor, I have to report to the sect, unbeknownst when I'll be back. I need Prime Minister Sir's wisdom to lead Luo clan, control the grand scheme of things and steer it clear from disaster. The demon scheming sect? That means you've beaten Chuanrong and His Majesty all while keeping the Empire's 3 guardian sects from catching wind of this matter. Zhuge Changfeng shook. That will spell the end of Tianyu's imperial family as we know it, becoming a puppet, with the Luo clan as the ruler supreme. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister Sir has the same vision as me. Coming to Luo clan, Sir will have the stage set to display your skills. I will not disgrace the greatest mind of Tianyu. Zhua Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng paced around the room. That will make Luo clan's steward position no different than Tianyu's prime minister. And with you leaving, to whom will that fall to? Zhua Fan beamed. Prime Minister Zhuge has held Tianyu in balance for a century and knows the ins and outs. Since this position and Luo clan steward are the same after I leave, it will belong to Prime Minister Zhuge. Ha ha ha. It struck a chord in old Zhuge Changfeng's heart. He'd been a prime minister for as long as he knew, yet had no hard feelings leaving that life behind. Calming down, he realized he could do nothing else. But resuming his old trade, he wasn't exactly used to working under someone. This made the Luo clan steward position the best choice. Zhuge Changfeng showed a bashful smile. The moment you leave I'll steal your position. That wouldn't be very nice. It's all fine. The steward is in charge of all clan affairs. And with an ever-growing Luo clan, those affairs will only expand. This position shall never be empty. Someone will always be there to take it. If Prime Minister Zhuge finds joining the Luo clan a poor choice, no problem, I'll just have Leng Wuchang take it. He doesn't like his current spot as a military advisor. Zhua Fan grinned. Zhuge Changfeng waved around. Oh no, that will not do at all. Leng Wuchang has been a regent estate steward all his life, seldom minding matters. With Luo clan growing into its role as an emperor in the shadows, Leng Wuchang's light experience wouldn't help in dealing with Tianyu's complicated matters. I come from an even smaller clan yet you don't feel the same about me? Zhua Fan darkened. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Steward Zhua, please don't tease. You are of unseen talent, capable of anything and everything, of immense majesty and open-mindedness. What small-time steward can do that? I don't know Steward Zhua's past, but I am confident you are a worldly talent. Prime Minister Zhuge, you sure know how to flatter. It's fine though. All I want to know is, are you in or out? In. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Zhuo Fan relaxed and presented a bloodworm. Per clan rules, any new addition needs to eat this. What is it? Zhuge Changfeng asked while swallowing. Zhuo Fan would have long killed him if he wanted to. Why go through all that trouble? The wiser one was, the quicker Zhuo Fan laid out his conditions. With a nasty grin, Zhuo Fan's hand shifted into a sign and Zhuge Changfeng started sweating buckets from the bellyache. Easing up on the sign, Zhuge Changfeng felt terror like no other despite how short-lived the pain was. Ha 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 this. Zhuo Fan snickered. Zhuge Changfeng grumbled and whined, Steward Zhua, was that necessary? I'm just a scholar. I'm no expert and don't need these methods to control me. Ha ha ha, scholar. Prime Minister sir is too modest. You're a devious and unscrupulous mastermind. I won't rest easy unless I have you on a leash. Zhuo Fan sighed. Luo siblings are neither shrewd nor tough, mere sheeps. Bringing so many beasts around their pen is all to protect them. Yet by the time I return, won't I have the pen empty from the beasts eating them all up? Giving you all a leash is within reason, ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng and Yu Ming shook their heads, finding no retort against this demon's logic. 'Cause this demon archon is too damn right. Chapter 505 Luo Alliance. Chapter 505 Luo Alliance. Next morning, Zhuo Fan took Yu Ming and Zhuge Changfeng to Prosperity Compound. With the emperor defeated, taking back its mansion in the imperial capital was easy for Luo clan. The streets they passed were filled with white clothes and all the stores were closed. It was a nationwide mourning for the emperor. Stepping through the gates of the compound, the guards shouted his arrival and everyone came to meet Zhuo Fan. It came as a shock to see the great prime minister behind him. Lung Wuchang took it the hardest, not liking where this was going. Allow me to clarify. Prime Minister Zhuge is now on our side. Zhuo Fan smiled. This is Yu Ming, the advisor of Hell Valley, also with us. Steward Zhua is back with more talents, and with none other than the head of the Four Pillars too. His recruiting style is invincible. They all greeted the newcomers with cupped hands. Lung Wuchang opted for a snort. Zhuo Fan was about to leave and Luo clan, as a great power, needed a wise advisor in the years to come. But Zhuo Fan's mind is so twisted that he got Zhuge Changfeng to join as well. It's to keep me in check. There goes my promotion. Lung Wuchang lamented. With the pleasantries over and done with, he had all others leave. Sir Lung, walk with us. He took the three tacticians to his room. Taking a chair, he eyed them. We're all smart people here and know by now my intentions. Yes, you three will establish checks and balances in the Luo clan. Kudos, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan put on a bright smile, but Lung Wuchang sighed his discontent. Steward Zhua, you had ruled the Luo clan all alone for so many years, and since I learnt of your departure, I figured my time to shine has come at last, to show my skills. But you planned for two others to hold me back. Ha ha ha, balancing power is a leader's quality, especially now when the officials are stronger than the lord. Without Steward Zhua holding the others in check with the worms, the Luo siblings would have long since fallen prey. Steward Zhua's actions are all within right. Zhuge Changfeng understood as much from their talk last night. Yu Ming nodded. These three were all masterminds. The only reason Zhuo Fan could control them was through a nifty little trick, or he'd never let them see tomorrow. To say nothing about leaving them around the naive siblings. To grasp power, to establish an unshakable foothold, ha ha ha, any of these three can do it in days. But only with all of them will things keep growing. Lung Wuchang could see it, but the disillusion was too much to bear. Zhuo Fan smiled. You are all capable men. I may hold you back for safety reasons, but I will not stand in the way of your talents, instead help you unleash it to its full potential. By then you will be so busy that you won't have the time to play tricks on each other. Zhuo Fan's hand held 3 jade slips. Here is the next phase of my plan. Each of your duties are included as well. Sir Ling noticed something, but this is the final policy. The 3 read it and all cried, Luo Alliance. Luo Alliance. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes flashing as he revealed his master plan. The 7 noble houses vied for power, for these lands. But even if they did grasp it, they'd be limited to Tianyu alone. We are now Tianyu's shadow, free of the emperor's shackles, and can go beyond the boundaries of this nation to take in renowned clans. Grow and grow without limits to become a colossus that the likes of the upper sects have never seen. The trio were dumbstruck. Zhuge Chongfeng pointed out, Steward Zhua, this is huge. By breaking down the nation's barriers, taking in outside clans, we'll become an organization outside of this nation's boundaries. We will have countless men and resources. We might even contend over the control of the Western lands, becoming its supreme power in the shadows. And only we can do it since we are this empire's shadow, out of its control. By luring the other area's clans, it won't come back to bite us, and the other empires won't even notice. We'll grow so big no nation could hold us. Shuafan snickered. Will the three controllers have the mind for petty schemes when in control of such a behemoth? The trio looked at him filled with praise. Zhuge Chongfeng cupped his hands. Steward Zhua is amazing, just through his ambition alone. I see it now, why you told me that your sights are on a bigger prize. It's all become clear now. My skill is indispensable in accomplishing such a great undertaking, and I would accept it without hesitation, ha ha ha. Lung Wuchang was pleased. Shuafan continued, the Luo Alliance project is only known to the four of us for now. It will do more harm than good letting the houses, bent on rebuilding their legacy, in on it. I never want to see the same chaos like the time of the 7 houses again. You three are all men of wisdom. Your first task will be to turn these houses into abandoning their plans of rebuilding, and become our first supporters of the Luo Alliance. The trio had the same patronizing smile. Reverse psychology can't be simpler. Zhuafan nodded with a wide smile. With these three at the heart of things, Luo clan's future is assured. I'll be going now. You can handle each other's scope. Zhuafan left. Lung Wuchang asked, Steward Zhua, your mind is a true mystery. How did you come up with this project? I saw it happen. Zhuafan grinned. The trio were mystified. Saw it? Which clan on this continent did it? How come we've never heard of it? No one knew that the great sacred domain had the Shang clan at its core, with all other clans in its alliance, a mountain driving fear even into sects. Zhuafan entered another room, where 2 sages awaited. Though with their sealed cultivations, they couldn't move and could only sit there with ashen faces. It's been ages, friends. How has life been treating you? Ha ha ha. Zhuafan made a sign and the 2 could move. It's just that I've been a little busy and couldn't attend to you. Do pardon my lack of manners. Stop with the theatrics. As the true winner, what are you going to do, torture us? Bring it. Heaven Sage spoke with resolve. Zhuafan sneered, you've got me all wrong. Have you ever seen a torture like this, letting you live at ease for 2 months? What do you call those 3 days of ghastly pain right when you caught us? It felt more like 3 years in hell. Earth Sage spat. Zhuafan sighed, oh come on, I was doing you a favor. With torture as an excuse, I kept your lives from ending up splattered under young Sanzi's hoofs. Once I got him to leave, the pain stopped and I even had you dine in style. Did you forget so soon? The 2 exchanged a glance. We did, didn't we? Ever since Gu Santong's job was over, he left Luo clan and their torture ended. What do you want? Spit it out. Zhuafan wasn't one who believed in charity, so Heaven Sage shouted. Zhuafan smiled, I hope that you'll join me. What? The 2 mocked, no way. And why not? Zhuafan asked, the imperial family is finished, the emperor is dead, and the fatty is just about to sit on the throne as my future puppet. What's so great about following him? Don't tell me you are undying loyalists too. Heaven Sage mocked, we're not Dugujantian or human sage. We are simply on the imperial family's payroll, so we deal with their matters. But if there's one side we'll never join, it's the Luo clan. All because you're with that little freak. What did my son do to you for you to hate him so much? Zhuafan frowned. Ethereal Stage snorted, that freak broke our body's core 300 years ago, cutting any prospects of ever reaching Ethereal Stage. You tell me if hatred isn't warranted. Zhuafan presented a vial, that's it? See here, this is Luo clan's heaven-reaching pill, 10th grade. It mends meridians and knits bones. The broken elderly took one of these and was up and running within seconds. He even became ethereal. You only need to let go of the hatred with my son, and join the Luo clan to have it. The two were shell-shocked. Luo clan has such a panacea? Though fear of being fooled again had the sages hesitant. There's no way Steward Zhuo will take thanks as payback for this little favor. We'll be your errand boys. We can overlook the matter with your son, but if you play with us. Are you dumb or what? Your lives are in my hands. What good will it do to lie? And from how long you've stayed at peak radiant stage, the instant you heal you'll advance. You will know it once you take the pill. The sages stared at the vial and gulped. The desire was too much for them to ignore, and they swallowed it instantly. Oh! A gentle energy entered their very fiber, getting a moan out of them. Chapter 506. The Sect Leaders. Chapter 506. The Sect Leaders. A 10-meter pavilion rested on a tall peak, with a cloud dancing around it. A youth in soft black clothes sat at the table, partaking in tea, though his twisted smile ruined his good image, turning it sinister. Like a viper about to strike. Whoosh! A light trailed the skies and landed right before the youth. It revealed an old man in white with golden edges holding a horsetail whisk, the very picture of an immortal. The youth laughed and waved. Mystical heaven sex Xian Jianfeng. Have you been well these years? Xia Wuyue, we hardly interact and there's nothing cordial between us. Why the sudden invitation then? What are you up to? Xian Jianfeng snorted and took a seat. Putting on a vague smile, Xia Wuyue shook his head. To discuss important business, of course. Though it's too soon to tell. There's still one person left. Whoosh! Another light appeared and the immense power swept the peak. Even the two of them jerked for a moment there. Xian Jianfeng cried, "Sect leader Run, what are you doing here?" It was a middle-aged man with sharp features, his expression biting and resolute. Sparse hair grew on his chin, giving him a wild look. Sect leader Run, greetings. This time Xia Wuyue's evil smile turned respectful, bowing at the man. Xian Jianfeng did the same. Grinning, the man flicked and spoke with valor. Please, sect leaders, I've only come here to talk business. Don't stand in ceremony for my sake, ha ha ha. The two had known sect leader Ren for a long time and sat right away. Sect leader Ren took a seat as well, looking at Xia Wuyue with a cold glint. Sect leader Xia, is what you said true? Yuan clan has the gall to play dirty tricks behind our backs? I never make light of such grave matters, sect leader Ren. Xia Wuyue nodded. Xian Jianfeng was stumped. Sect leader Ren, what is going on? You don't know sect leader Xian? Sect leader Renide Xia Wuan asked. Sect leader Xia didn't explain it in the sending jade? Yuan clan sold 1/10 of Tianyu to Chuanrong. What? Xian Jianfeng shuddered, turning shocked to Xia Wuyue. Is this true? Are they that outrageous? And why didn't you tell me sooner? I told you now, didn't I? Xia Wuyue snorted. Xian Jianfeng glared at him. The punk is messing with me, calling for a meeting without stating why. These two sects weren't exactly friends and now Xia Wuyue was playing deaf, letting him get duped. Sect leader Ren was the head of the Empire's 3 guardian sects, Heaven Trailing Sect's sect leader. By showing indifference in such a grave matter, it would only strain the relations between me and sect leader Ren. And this was where Xia Wuyue succeeded. He had forced Mystical Heaven sect to come without explaining anything to Xian Jianfeng. You didn't say a word, it would be this big. The two sects had a competitive relationship, so why would anyone come just because the other said so? But from the looks of it, the matter isn't that grave. Xian Jianfeng wiped his brow and glared at Xia Wuyue. The youth found it more interesting to enjoy the scenery with a cold smile. Sect leader Ren knew everything but laughed instead. All right. It's just sect leader Xia forgetting to mention. Sect leader Xian needn't mind it. What is important is understanding the situation and its causes before settling it. Sect leader Ren smiled. Sect leader Xia, since you found out, you must have done something before calling this meeting. Sect leader Ren is wise beyond his years. I indeed acted the instant I became aware of it. Now everything is settled. Though it will require all three of us if we want to take it out on Chuanrong and beast taming sect. Xia Wuyue explained the entire chain of events. Pa! Xia Wuyue placed a gourd on the table. Here are the 3 beast taming sect's elders' souls. We can use them to strike a blow at the beast taming sect, but we'll need sect leader Ren to consider what might we get out of it. Humph, what else is there? Chuanrong live in the mountains and forests with rich lands, plenty of mines, and are filled with herbs. I've been waiting for ages to get my hands on it. Sect leader Ren snickered. Didn't they want 1/10 of Tianyu? This time we'll have them bleed instead. Xia Wuyue nodded, rightfully so. I am in full accord with sect leader Ren's idea. We'll send a team of experts to beast taming sect for compensation. Understood. Sect leader Ren laughed. It's only a matter of time before our shares increase, ha ha ha. The others laughed as well. Xian Jianfeng and Xia Wuyue weren't always on the same page, but were content when both sides had a bite. Though Xian Jianfeng frowned, the foreign matter is resolved, but that still leaves the internal one. Due to its outrageous attempt, Yuan clan is unfit to lead Tianyu. We need someone else, someone to guarantee our interests. No need to worry, sect leader Xian, isn't the choice clear as day? Xia Wuyue grinned. Xian Jianfeng jerked, you mean the Luo clan? No. Everyone knows you've got their Steward Zhuofan to join you. Making them our choice will elevate your prowess. Xian Jianfeng, why be so petty? The Luo clan and demon scheming sect do have some ties, but it's nothing to fuss over. I'm not one to affect the sect's interests and earn heaven-trailing sect's ire over some crumbs. Do you take me for some narrow-minded and ignorant fool? Xia Wuyue bowed. The usual distribution was heaven-trailing sect getting 1/3. Each other sect 1/5, and the remaining was left to Tianyu. But with Luo clan being Tianyu's representative, an extra 1/10 will be divided among us, leaving it with only 1/5. Sect leader Ren lit up and nodded. This is everyone's share. No matter who controls its distribution, it will be a gain for all. All that matters is paying the tribute on time and not skimming the top. Exactly so. Xia Wuyue chuckled and gave Xian Jianfeng a taunting look. Xian Jianfeng saw sect leader Ren's smile and the eerie chill behind it. He nodded too. But sect leader Ren, we now have a new representative, so what do we do with the old one? Yuan clan has ruled Tianyu for a millennium. Its roots are deep. Moving against them will throw the lands in chaos and affect our shares. When Tianyu was founded, it needed 100 years to attain peace, a time during which the 7 houses were at war, and the people were struggling to survive. How could the empire's resources be extracted in such desperate times? We were left with meager profits then. No, Tianyu must not fall into anarchy. Sect leader Ren said. Sect leader Xia, is your representative confident in controlling the Yuan clan and grasping the entire imperial family's power? Ha ha ha, sect leader Ren, he's doing it as we speak. And besides, doesn't he have demon scheming sect in case of hiccups? Sect leader Ren nodded. Sect leader Xia, so young and promising. I'll leave it to you. Goodbye. Sect leader Ren vanished. Xia Wuyue bowed. Xian Jianfeng stared at him. Xia Wuyue, you sure looked big in front, sect leader Ren. But I am warning you, you better not have your representative controlling Tianyu be up to something. If anything happens to mystical heaven sect's share. Yes. Xia Wuyue raised an eyebrow. It's not my fault Tianyu's representative is in my court. When I took the kid in, all you knew was how to mock. Now look at what he has turned into. While that lass of yours hasn't done anything, ha ha ha. Xian Jianfeng clenched his fists but opted to snort and left Xian Jianfeng with, don't get too cocky. That kid is more than you can handle. You will be sorry. Humph, useless talents are of no danger. I like the kids with some bite. But no matter how dangerous, he still won't escape my grasp. Xia Wuyue snorted and clawed the air with a vicious look. Chapter 507, One True Clan. Chapter 507, One True Clan. We bow at the Emperor's coronation. It was early morning and the imperial palace echoed with an announcement. Fatty in his golden dragon robes climbed onto the highest chair in the lands, with the officials bowing behind him. Ever since Chuanrong army showed up, the imperial capital had been sealed and the imperial palace was silent. The officials had long since missed court, waiting in fear for the dire news that the empire was finished. This all became possible at the hands of Zhuge Changfeng, colluding with the Chuanrong and imprisoning the imperial family. The situation was so that besides Zhuge Changfeng and his traitorous officials entering the imperial palace, the entire imperial capital was in the dark to the truth, and those traitorous officials had already been dealt with. After months of silence, the first court attendance became possible after Zhuge Fan strutted in like a winner just as the emperor died of poisoning. The reason was quite justified. Zhuge Fan hailed the banner to save his lord. This brave, loyal and daring official forewent the danger of death and marched in and saved the imperial family. Alas, no amount of bravery could save the emperor and crown prince from an unfortunate fate as Chuanrong's victims. Once the late emperor's funeral came to a close, Fatty prepared for his ascension. Among the entire imperial family, he was the only candidate. Resting on the large dragon chair, Fatty's beady eyes glinted as he took on a royal air. Grandmother, Long Yifi and Xie Xiaofeng were among the bowing officials, shouting, "May your majesty live a long and prosperous life." At ease. Fatty spoke with dignity. "My fortune of coming out alive is all due to the protector of our nation, the greatest steward in Tianyu, Zhuge Fan, who through cooperation with the Luo clan, drove off the barbarians in a valiant effort to save his lord. Today I present Zhuge Fan and Luo clan with the awards for their bravery." The herald shouted in a sharp voice, "May Zhuge Fan and Luo clan step forth for their awards." The high voice echoed everywhere and Zhuge Fan with Luo clan walked to the center. Fatty looked on heavily, his heart sinking. Zhuge Fan by himself is bad enough, but now Fatty had accepted his role as a puppet emperor, but still held some hope. From what he heard from Yun Shuang and Yongning's chats, Zhuge Fan was going to leave soon. This news brought him great joy. With the most annoying pest out of the way, Luo clan will fall into chaos. No elder of theirs will simply bow to another. No one can keep them in line except Zhuge Fan. He would then swoop in to mediate and might even wrest Tianyu's power for himself. But the current display had his hopes crushed and flushed down the gutter. Zhuge Fan walked in front of Luo clan. Among them were three people known to Tianyu as the greatest minds, Zhuge Changfeng, Lung Wuchang and insidious demon's pupil, Yu Ming. Yu Ming didn't get that much attention, but Fatty was certain. The kid isn't a pushover. With these three weasels and goddamned elites, Luo clan had robbed the new emperor of any chance. Plus, looking further back one would see the peak of Tianyu's power. Li Jingtian, Qiu Yanhai and other Luo clan members and even the Yinyang elders. Judging from their auras, they were even stronger than before. Fatty muttered, "Brother, did you have to take everyone and leave me hanging? What am I supposed to do now that I've got no one to help me? Can it be that your majesty has other thoughts?" Zhuge Fan mocked. Fatty sighed some, but now they are gone. Becoming emperor is enough. Cheer up and be happy with what you have, ha ha ha. Zhuge Fan spoke like a true winner. His attitude had no ounce of respect, with the whole court looking at him speechless. Some loyalists even jumped in, criticizing Zhuge Fan. "How dare you speak to His Majesty with such gross disrespect? You should be hanged. Not even the nation's defender has the right to be so crass with His Majesty. And who the hell are you to blame me?" Zhuge Fan mocked. "Fatty, what do you say I should do? Such insolence to call His Majesty. I am ashamed to say it. Off with your head." "Shut your yap," the fatty barked, holding his head helplessly. "Guards, take him away and execute him." "Ugh." The old man was dumbstruck. "Your Majesty, I am protecting your honor. Why am I the one sacked?" "Your Majesty, the laws of the court must be upheld. Don't encourage such arrogant display." The old official raved, showing his loyalty as he was dragged away. The fatty sighed. "Truly the worst allies one can have. Are you blind? Do you not see me here yet still toot your horn? Guys like you would one day have me killed. I can do perfectly well without die-hard loyalists like you. Thank you very much. All you know is to show off and act blindly. Listen up. Zhuofan and Luo clan's bravery is laudable, saving myself from certain death. They are the saviors of the world. I treat them with the same respect as heaven and earth. You all must learn restraint before Luo clan, understand? The fatty shouted. The audience was chilled on the spot, with many of them bug-eyed. The emperor's words carried a heavy weight. The savior had more esteem than one's own parents. Such respect couldn't be violated. The emperor said it to honor Zhuofan, to make him the retired emperor. But how? Smiley face. The literal meaning for retired emperor is beyond emperor. While it can also mean father of the emperor and puppet master, figuratively. A lord can revere the heaven and earth but nothing else. No matter how strong this guy is, he's still an official and can never be above the lord. Yet the emperor treated Zhuofan above his own kin, above heaven and earth. It left them all in shock. At Zhuofan's gaze, all bowed their heads. Regardless of what the emperor says, there must be something else lurking beneath the surface. But it's not our place to speak. Wasn't one of us just dragged out moments ago? One peep and your whole clan will follow. Better zip it and play oblivious. The officials sighed. Zhuofan sneered. The whole court had come to know of his current position, that his power would go even higher than the emperor's. It was the first step in making the emperor a figurine. Zhuofan signaled Fatty to continue. Though not without some hesitation, Luo clan's example of bravery for their lord and nation is a reflection of heaven and earth. They were first in the fight against barbarians, saving their lord and helping the people. I proclaim the Luo clan as the best house under heaven, holding key positions in Tianyu, managing the army, managing resources, to defend the nation and help me in guiding the people. Where they go, they carry my name. The fatty slumped in his throne, spent after that little speech. The court was boiling. Military and resources, all under Luo clan's control? How is that Yuan dynasty then? And he even said they'll manage the people and lands together. That's like giving someone half your home. Luo clan might be the greatest in its merits, but no way equal to the emperor. That's digging your own grave. Some of the officials were lost. What the hell is wrong with the new emperor? He just sold his fatherland. Even a fool knows to keep his stuff, not give it away. Many were bowing and ready to admonish. Zhuge Chongfeng's interjection was perfect though. In management, what matters most is reading the signs. His Majesty is more astute than any of you, so don't get carried away and butt in. The officials glared at him, but his hint worked like a charm. Zhuge Chongfeng has been prime minister for ages, so why jump ship over to Luo clan's side? Looking at the emperor's defeated face, they all hesitated and fell back. Something reeks of a mystery here. Let's gloss over. But that'll make Luo clan the sole holder of Tianyu's power. A shift in dynasty will only be a matter of time. Not that it was any of their problems. If the Yuan clan didn't care, why should they? The officials calmed, their minds dumbing down. Zhuge Chongfeng flicked a pleased look Zhuofan's way. The more desolate they felt about the emperor, the more estranged they'd be, and the emperor would accomplish nothing. Zhuofan turned to the fatty, shouting, "We'll be going now." As they left, there was no one blocking or berating Zhuofan's uncouth manner. It was out in the open now, that the emperor couldn't mess with him. Hold on a minute. Fatty's eyes shone. We brothers haven't seen each other in ages. I ask that you stay and have a talk with me. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. What's he thinking? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.